You ready, Tommy? Here we go. Thank you all for coming this evening. Today is Thursday, August the 10th, 2023, 6 o'clock p.m. This is the Livingston Parish Council chambers, and all public notices have been sent out. So this is an official meeting, and just in case you wasn't aware, the qualifying for elected officials throughout the parish has now ended. I think it stopped around 4 o'clock, so here we go.
What does that mean?
Anyway, so let's get started with I guess we'll go and start with the invocation. Ask God's help in this meeting. So, Mr. McMorris, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
I'll have our pastor, Jeremy, lead us in prayer, please.
Let's pray. Father God, we love you. Lord, I just thank you for the opportunity to be here in these chambers today. God, to ask you for your wisdom. God, to ask you for your guidance for these men and women. God, the men and women before me and the men and women behind me. Father, I pray that every ounce of business that is discussed tonight will be done with a pure heart and a clean heart. Father, and I pray that we would all have your kingdom in mind for every decision that we do make, Father. Lord God, I ask for your protections and your grace and your mercy to come around this chamber tonight. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
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 Hang tight right here, brother.
Can I do you?
Yeah,
Mr. Gerald, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
let's do it. I pledge allegiance to the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. And before we go to presentations, Miss Sandy or Miss Raven, I don't know who's in charge of roll call, but would y'all please call the roll to make sure we have a quorum? Sign in. Watch it.
Okay, now hit roll call. Right there.
Straight.
Mr. Talbert?
Here.
Mr. McMorris?
I'm here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Mack?
I signed
Mr. Ard?
Here.
Ms. Sandifer? Here. Mr. Delat?
Here.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Here.
Mr. Wascom?
Here. Thank you, Miss Sandy. Also, let this be a little quick reminder, just check your cell phones, and so there's not a big outbreak from a bunch of distractions. So, Mr. McMorris, you have the presentations today. Would you tell us what's on your mind?
So Brother Jeremy's going to give us I think I handed everybody a piece of paper. So if you can look at it, he's going to go over what we're going to be doing for our church. What other better time to do this, right? We can get live TV with the people. We can get the word out to the people, get the word out to the kids, and we're going to let him turn it over to him, okay?
The Bible says, Hebrews 13:16, do not forget to do good and to share it with others, right? And at Coyo Baptist Church, that's what we try to do. We try to share with others and bless other people. This event is a completely 100% free event for anybody who wants to come. Political booths, vendor booths. We're going to have a big expo that day. Clay Dyer is the speaker that's coming. He was born with no arms and legs, right? His message to everybody that he speaks to is God doesn't make mistakes. It's an unbelievable message. I want to challenge everybody to come. Bring your sons, bring your daughters. If you want to set up a political booth, whatever you want to do, but just come and we're going to have a good time. We're giving out fried fish plates. We got 600 pounds of catfish that's fresh caught out of Lake Verret, jambalaya, pastilla, we got hamburgers, hot dogs. We just want the community to feel the love of Christ, and it's going to be a good time, man. We hope everybody can come. So,
Great event. Great event.
All right, I can continue on.
Absolutely. The floor is yours.
So the microphone is not working, so I'm going to turn around and speak to you ladies and gentlemen tonight. I said good evening, council and the public in the chambers. I am Gerald G. Boy McMorris, and I served as District 6 councilman for Livingston Parish. I was elected in 2019 to serve the people of my district. During my time serving with the council and the people of District 6, I have learned so many things about the people I represent. I've learned quickly that most residents was the opposite of my lifestyle, different from my opinions, different from the housing where you couldn't use the restroom on the porch due to the neighbors being so close, and different values than I had. I had to become open-minded, a person to assure I treated everybody equally. For myself, I was a person that, that could get into the council. I thought I could get into the council seat and change the world. That changed really fast. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. You can sit back in the chairs, you can talk, looking from the outside into us. It's tough. It's a real tough job. I would like to share a few things I did for District 6, for my people that I represent. During my 3.5 years on the council, I hope the people can say, if they call, I was there for them. I may not fix all the problems at that time, but we had a solution or a way to move forward, even if we couldn't get it fixed. We was able to get accomplished a lot of work with the road overlay program. We did 8 to 10 roads a year on the west side of our district, on 447 side. I know that's not many roads, but you only get $1.2 million a year, and that don't go far. So you guys come in and remember that. I worked closely with the parish and the state leaders to complete the Buddy Ellis Road to make sure it was safe for the residents of 447 all the way over to District 5 on Jubin Road. My first year, I was tasked to work with local engineers to get all the creeks and streams allotted with GSI numbers. These GIS numbers served as a name for a creek, a stream that had to be given a name. After completion, the parish was able to go after funding from the NRCS program for cleaning of the creeks after disasters in our area. Some never even made it out of the room because they was considered lateral ditches. They would not be funded due to the requirements. I worked with Avon Fabern engineers on zoning of the District 6 maps, the zoning maps. Held 3 meetings here in this building. People come from all over my district to give their inputs. As of now, District 6 zoning mapping is ready for zoning experts that we hire to review and send the plan in for approval. I coordinated a meeting, Knowledge is Power, of the carbon sequence projects with the state leaders that allowed this into our parish. The focus was for the citizens of Livingston Parish, what was coming or what's fixing to happen here in Livingston Parish with the carbon capture sequence projects in Lake Maurepas and in Holden. Hundreds of citizens filled this room at the chambers to listen to the information. As I want to thank a couple of citizens here tonight, Eric Harrell, Kenny Bankston, Caleb Atwell, and everyone that is still strong with their voices for the people. I was able to work with the state senate to get a $650,000 for the state with our local leaders, with the help of Randy DeLapp, helped me get this money from the state with a neighboring parish. This is going to be for the Old Mill Settlement Road in Prince Settlement. These people, when it comes to a normal flood, they cannot get in and out. So we're going to take the $650,000 that Mr. Mark Harrell is going to get, and it's going to go to the HMGP program, and it's going to complete this project. So whoever's elected on Council 6, please finish that road out. So we got you started, now we got to finish it. Applied for federal dollars for the Amen River Blind River Coastal Restoration Project with Mark Harrell. This project is currently working with a completion date of November 2023. During my last year of serving District 6, where we used $1.2 million to fund the overlay, with the overlay money. The last parish road in Prince Settlement, Louisiana, District 6, they have 75 homes and families. This will save the parish hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It's 2.5 miles long. The start date's August the 14th, and we're planning the completion date around October timeframe. Now here comes the hard part. All 9 council members have made a lot of great choices and worked hard to ensure that Livingston Parish fits its laws of current ordinances, and they were in line with state and federal laws. We all worked through some tough times, but we always knowing we all work, ensure we follow the laws before us to help each person we represented. I'm not ashamed of the decisions I have made over the past year. The decision Thursday night was the hardest. The decision Thursday night was the hardest decision I ever had to make. But having a lawyer and the taxpayers' expert planner of zoning giving me advice, I can stand here tonight and say I made the right choice for my hometown and the people of Livingston Parish. We know it's a terrible spot for everyone here in our parish, no matter if we think we was right or we was wrong. Mr. Dillabasso was hired after the recommendation of several of our councilmen that assured he was the best in the state. We, the 9 council members, took the advice of the people and hired the expert to help make our zoning fit the laws of Livingston Parish. If we would give him the reins and let him move forward, he's assures he can get this done quickly with the zoning and ordinances we already have started for the people of our parish. As tonight continues, I will not vote on the veto due to the pending lawsuits that I still have against myself. For my lawyer, I must sustain my vote on the veto, but that comes this time. I want to thank each one of you council members as you put me up underneath your wings, as I learned something from each one of you guys and ladies. We might not have agreed on issues, but we never got mad, and we continue to be able to call each other no matter what the need was. Almost done, guys. I know I would have never made it if it wasn't for the women that worked hard dealing with the public and then having to listen to each council member with their problems. I want to give you a special thank you to these ladies, Caroline, Raven, Miss Sandy, and there was 2 more ladies that worked here for 2 years, Angie Cornett and Lauren White. Sandy, Lauren, and White was so much help for me for the first 2 years, as they knew more than any of our councilmen all put together up here and gave us the information we needed for every meeting. If we needed something, all we had to do was call. The last thing tonight that I'm going to discuss, we have 3 running for the council seat for District 6. His name is David Dana. Is he here tonight? We got Mr. John Angus and Mr. Trent. Is he here? Good luck, man, on y'all's race. Tonight, August the 10th, 2023. I will not be seeking the council seat for District 8 as I planned. The people will have 2 fine men that will be running for that seat. Mr. Dean Coates, if you'll stand up. Mr. Dean Coates, and then he's from the Virgin Canal area. And then I have Mr. Kenny, man, let me get this right. Mahaha. What did you tell me what again? Kenny Bone. Yeah. So these 2 guys, he's from Springfield. And guys, good luck to you 2 guys. And I hope y'all will best them with this race. I hope and pray for each candidate will show respect to each other during their campaign trail, as it does nothing for you to hurt, as it does nothing for you but hurt your family, your friends, and the parish that you want to serve. Good luck to all you candidates, and hope God will bless you in each and every one of you. If you ever get where you think you are on your own, turn to God. I promise you, He'll get you to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McMorris. Real quick, let's Pardon? Oh, yeah, I'm getting to item number 7 right now. Item 7 is adopt a resolution calling for an election to be held on Saturday, November the 18th, 2023, for the purpose of authorizing the renewal of a 10 mil tax for a period of 10 years for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, operating the Livingston Parish Library, and further making application to the State Bond Commission. And I assure you, no one is here more capable to answer any questions and to carry this through than Mr. Jim Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Jim Ryan with Government Consultants. This is a resolution simply authorizing or suggesting that you authorize the proposition for a renewal of a 10 mil tax for the library to be put on the ballot. The decision is up to y'all whether or not you want to allow it to be put on the ballot or not, but the only thing this resolution does is puts the proposition on the ballot so the voters can decide if they want to renew the tax or not. Had a couple of questions from different council members, and again, I have no dog in this hunt. I don't even live in this parish. So whether or not the proposition is put on the ballot or passed doesn't mean anything to me whatsoever from a political point of view. My role is purely technical in nature here, as you all know. A couple of questions that have been asked of me that I thought I would share with the council in case you all had any technical questions were, if this is put on the ballot and it is renewed at 10 mils, I've had people ask me, do we have to levy the entire 10 mils? And the answer is no. You can levy whatever you want to. It says, the proposition says up to 10 mils. So the parish, you as the parish council make that decision. If the proposition were put on the ballot and it was passed, you all ultimately decide how many mils you want to levy. The only other technical question I've been proposed with is what if we put this on the fall ballot, if we deferred this and put it on the fall ballot, what would be the consequences of that? The consequences of that would be they would lose 1 year's worth of collections because you all certified the rolls. You probably may have already certified the rolls to Mr. Taylor. So you all certify the rolls every August. So if it's not passed in the spring, at that April ballot, and then it was put on the November or December ballot, you wouldn't have time to certify the rolls to Mr. Taylor, who I understand was elected without opposition today. Congratulations, Jeff. So they would not get their levy in 2025, if that makes sense.
So they have 6 months, correct? Is that what it is?
So right now, they'll get their 2023 money in January, February of 2024. If the tax is passed in the fall of 2024, you would not have time to certify the roll, to get it on the rolls
Right.
for Mr. Taylor to levy the tax for the year 2024, which means they would miss their 2025 collections.
Mr. Delatch, you had a question?
I'm not sure if Jim can answer it, or maybe someone on the council. I thought we rolled it back to 1.5 mils.
That was on the tax on the bond.
That was the bond?
So that was the construction
Okay.
bond tax, and that's going to
Okay.
roll back as the tax rolls off, and it'll eventually go away, Randy, unless
Okay.
they reissue a bond, then it can move up. Am I correct, Jim?
Councilman Talbert's absolutely correct, and not to be a nitpicky bean counter, but I am. So that wasn't really rolled back. What really happens there, Mr. Delat, is with a general obligation bond, it's a variable rate millage bond is what it is, as opposed to going out and saying, I've got 10 mils, I'm going to borrow against that, and the taxpayers are going to pay 10 mils forever. What actually happens is your accounting department gets with Mr. Taylor every year and says, okay, the payment coming up for the spring of 2024, which is your last payment, you've got one payment that's due in March for that bond. Jennifer gets with Mr. Taylor and says, okay, I'm making this number up, $1.3 million. How many mills do I have to levy this year to collect that for next spring? And so typically on a general obligation bond like that, it may start out, you may be levying 15 mills 20 years ago, but as assessed values go up and more, the property in the parish becomes more and more valuable, that 15 mil reduces automatically a little bit year to meet the debt service.
I got you. Second question. on the proposition, if we vote for the voters to renew a 10 mil tax, the proposition has to be precise. In other words, what the money can be used for. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, and that's in the resolution.
And the resolution is for new buildings also, or is it just for maintenance?
I don't have that with me.
Construction, improving, maintaining, operating, that's what's said on the agenda here.
So one thing, Mr. Delatt, is to call it a renewal. You can't change anything.
Can't change it, okay.
So if we change the purpose or the term
Okay.
or the amount,
Okay.
it's no longer a renewal, it's a new tax or a
Okay, I
rededication.
understand. That answers the question.
Okay.
That answers the question.
So you need a motion, for a resolution, Mr. Ryan?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. King, to call for a resolution for the library millage. Did you get the motion in the second?
Hold on one second.
Take your time.
And again, this is just to put it on the ballot. You all are not approving a tax. You are giving the voters the right to approve the tax.
Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. King. Okay, all right. All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? Go ahead and vote upon your iPads as well, and I believe that motion passed unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Mr. Ryan. We're going to skip 8B for now, and 9 is to adopt the minutes for the July 13th, 2023 regular meeting of the Livingston Parish Council, and let's do the July 27th, 2023, since they're both ready and prepared. Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, seconded by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, go ahead and call it up on your computer as well. Item 10 is the parish president's report. First item is the authorization to execute and file an application for Council on Aging Department of Transportation Development Grant under the 49 CFR. Is, Mr. Harold, you going to talk about this one, or is, or this is
11.
the Council on Aging grant?
I thought somebody was going to be here that spoke on that one.
I'll speak on that.
Oh, Ms.
This
Sand.
is an annual thing that state law is written, the DOT requires. And this is how they get their funds for their Meals on Wheels vans.
Is there a motion to authorize a resolution
Yeah,
plan
one
for
of
that
us,
grant?
somebody will.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, second by Mr. Delatt. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Sandy, for bringing that one up. Item 12, Livingston Parish Grants Department Resolution authorizing the parish president to execute the contract between the Livingston Parish Council and Brunt Construction. Mr. Harrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Council. We have finally come back around to where we can do the safe room for the fire district. Had a lot of issues. As you know, every time you bid something out, it comes back for twice the amount you had budgeted. We finally got FEMA to authorize the extra funding, and so we're ready to sign a contract and get this project on the road.
Motion by Mr. McMorris, I believe. Second by Mr. Mack. Any discussion, none being, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right, I believe that motion is going to carry it. Unanimous?
It's ready to go. Once you pass the resolution, we can sign the contract next week, and they're ready to roll. And they actually say the product that they have to have is in stock, so they're ready to roll.
Them guys been working out that house trailer since the flood. I mean,
Ever since the flood, that's correct.
that's gonna be a good thing.
Yes, sir.
Got one more, Mr. Harrell, I believe.
Yes.
Livingston Parish Department of Public Works resolution authorizing the final acceptance of the contract between Barrier Construction LLC. This is for the Buddy Ellis Road, I believe.
And it's 100% complete, and we're asking for a resolution to authorize the parish to sign off on it.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse,
Second.
second by Mr. Delatt on that one.
Thank you so much.
Any discussion? None being, all in favor say yes. Yes. And that motion carried as well.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Harrell, thank you. Let's jump on over to the addendums. That's where it's going to get exciting. Item A1 This is a discussion and inquiry of the administration's notice of contract termination of Steve Irving, who was engaged on May the 25th, 2023 by the Livingston Parish Council to provide legal services as parish planning and our zoning attorney to advise us regarding the adoption and implementation of zoning and land use planning. This item was placed on the agenda by Mr. Randy Delat. So I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Delat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I'd like to do is call Mr. Irvin to the podium and give us a quick synopsis of his background.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Irving.
Okay.
I would love to hear a little bit about your background, Mr. Irvin. So, anything about your land use or zoning expert opinions or anything, your synopsis of what you do?
Sure, I can give you a little synopsis. I practiced law for almost 49 years. In that 49 years, I have accumulated plenty of scar tissue and plenty of skirmishes. Early on, I got involved in regulatory law. Regulatory law is the general branch where planning and zoning falls, and I pretty quickly got into the land use side of that. Now, the land use side of that includes planning and zoning, but like environmental permitting, those kinds of things, site permitting, that's all part of it too. Have trouble hearing me?
Yeah, can y'all hear in the back okay? All right, go ahead.
Because I can speak up plenty loud.
Thank you, Mr. Irving, that's fine.
All right. The first planning and zoning case of note was the old Jefferson Civic Association case, which was actually cited in some of the oppositions to the federal court suit that were filed. I know Councilwoman Sandifer's lawyer used the case. I went on, I handled the IT case. The IT case is nationally famous. It was an environmental permitting case where there was going to be the world's largest hazardous waste disposal facility at the place that is now Pelican Point subdivision. I represented the residents in that, and we successfully opposed and stopped that plant. That case has got its own law review article, and it is the seminal case on the environmental public trust doctrine under the Louisiana Constitution of 1974. It's cited in every environmental permitting hearing. I went on, I've represented numerous landowners in and residents in zoning and planning issues over the years. I represented West Baton Rouge Parish for a while. They had some zoning issues, and I helped them fix them. And I've represented people on both sides. I've represented the landowner, and I've represented the residents around the site. The case that's probably most interesting out here, though it's so old probably nobody remembers it, is I represented the residents in the BFI Livingston permit hearing that was had here many, many years ago to try to improve that site. So that was my first contact representing people in Livingston Parish. And I'd like to say I've done a legion of various environmental and planning and zoning cases.
Mr. Irvin, you seem to be well qualified. What was your understanding of who hired you for your legal advice in Livingston Parish?
I was approached by the Livingston Parish Council, who got several recommendations, and they all were to come see me. They were interested in hiring me to help them with zoning, specifically with zoning issues. And that was who hired me. And my understanding is Livingston Parish Council voted to hire me. And I want to comment one thing. I mean, job one for the Livingston Parish Council, and this is generally true of zoning from the governmental standpoint, is there are a lot of snakes that can be running around in zoning cases, and it's very easy to step on them. And what the council wanted me to do was to spot the snakes so they could avoid stepping on them. And that was my marching orders from the get-go about what I was supposed to do under this contract, and that's what I tried to do.
Did Mr. Ricks or Mr. Moody ever tell you you could not speak to the council?
Well, Mr. Ricks actually did in the termination letter. He says he said that in my original, in the original interview he had with me. I didn't remember it that way. But I will tell you that if speaking to councilmen about zoning is prohibited, I am flagrantly guilty, because I have answered zoning questions for every councilman here that has asked one, and I see a bunch of them nodding. And like most everybody has asked me zoning questions, and I have explained to the best of my ability the answers to their question. And I would also add that I've issued 3 zoning opinions to the council, which before my contract was even signed, I actually wrote the main thing I needed to do, which was the blueprint on how to take care of the zoning out here. And I issued those opinions, and my understanding was that those opinions were going to be circulated to the council. Now, I understand there may be a question about whether the council ever got them, but there are 3 zoning opinions that I wrote that are out there that tells everybody everything they need to know, and if you haven't seen them, then I can understand why I got some of the questions, and I was refer y'all back to my opinions, and if you didn't have my opinions, which you were supposed to have, then I could understand why I got the question. So yes, he did. He indicated that in my termination letter, and the thing about the termination, there was what he said was a communication with Councilwoman Sandifer about something that he didn't know about. Well, I went back trying to figure out what it was, and I think I finally have it figured out. In connection with the defense of Councilwoman Sandifer in the federal court case, her lawyer cited my old case. And I read the brief, and when I saw that he cited it, I emailed him. I didn't tell him about it. I would have if he'd asked, but when I saw it, I emailed him and commented that he had cited my old case. And he and I had a brief discussion about what the case meant. Now, this is a planning case. It's not a zoning case. So this is not something that's on the clock for Livingston Parish. This is a professional conversation between 2 lawyers about an old case that one of them handled. All right, so I answered his question, and that answer actually was circulated because Councilwoman Sandifer circulated it, which is fine with me, but it wasn't a question, it wasn't even a statement to her, it was a statement to her lawyer, and B, it wasn't work under the Livingston Parish contract, and C, Livingston Parish ought to have a basic interest in me helping them defend a federal lawsuit if there's something in it that I know something about. And so I answered her lawyer's questions.
Mr. Irvin, in your opinion, would you think Mr. Ricks's policy on developments may be a little bit different than what the majority of the council was trying to accomplish?
I don't think there's any question about that. The whole reason that the councilman came to me in the first place was because there was this big push to, there'd been a multi-year effort to enact zoning in Livingston Parish. And then all of a sudden, there was a hard push to do away with that zoning and go back and redo it again that the council was getting. And the council, then it came to me, they were concerned about, they were getting this push, questioning something they'd been doing for 2 years is not being right. And they wanted my candid advice and independent advice about that. That was the whole point. And the difference between the 2 sides, as best I can figure it out, and I know that there's some of the councilmen here that think the same way, is that this council as a body is very, very concerned with controlling development and making it match available infrastructure and preserving the quality of life and not increasing the flooding problem. And boy, that flooding problem is one I can tell you about. these are concerns about what's going on in the parish that can be helped by zoning. And the council as a body, every one of them that I've discussed, every one of you that I've discussed zoning with, that's been your concern. Now, the flip side of that is the push to, we're going to do the zoning, we're going to do away with the zoning ordinance for a while, and we're going to go back and, quote, get it right. Now, the problem with that is that you're doing away with the zoning ordinance rather than trying to fix it is going to create a window of time in which there is no zoning. And the analogy that I've used in talking to some of y'all about it is, if you've got anybody in Livingston Parish who hates their neighbor, that window of time is going to be their opportunity to put a pig pen next to his house, because the zoning is going to be gone. If you've got a developer waiting in the wings to do something that isn't going to be allowed under your zoning law, that window of time is the developer's opportunity to do it. And you actually got clear evidence that that's what's happening.
Mr. Irvin, in your opinion, do you feel like the zoning in Livingston Parish was fatally flawed and unable to withstand a legal challenge?
No, I issued 3 opinions, which apparently y'all haven't seen, telling you everything you needed to do to make zoning nice and work, and no question about it. Now, my whole point in the plan that I designed for you was to avoid this window of time where it's the Wild Wild West again in Livingston Parish. And that seems to be my fundamental disagreement with whoever, is that I don't want the Wild Wild West.
And all people that you see sitting in this audience and most of the council members doesn't want that either. We want to find a way to make this work.
Well, let me tell you something specifically about that. This dog is bigger than just Livingston Parish. I live on the other side in East Baton Rouge Parish. That flood of 2016 came within 8 inches of getting in my house. The last thing I want to see is the floodplain in Livingston Parish develop and get lots of fill and everything else in it and start backing water up and have the water get in my house. I went to a lot of trouble to put my house way up off the ground so that wouldn't happen. So this problem is bigger than just Livingston Parish. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be representing Livingston Parish and not pontificating about Baton Rouge, but this is a fact of life.
Mr. Rick sent the council a termination letter, and that's why I put it on the agenda, because I was under the impression we did the hiring, we do the firing, okay? Did you write a response? Did you write a response to his letter?
I absolutely did.
Did it?
I wrote a pretty blistering response to his letter, too.
Did anybody ever see the response? Who's got the response? Do we have the response, Ms.
How
Sandy?
many copies would you like?
We don't have it, no.
We don't have a response?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'll give it to you.
Can we have it and submit it for public record?
May I approach, or here, you want to take it to him?
While you're passing that out, I just want to respond with your 3 opinions. We were only shown one, and when I read it, it didn't make sense because it alluded to a second, so I had to ask for it, and I don't recall ever getting the 3rd opinion from Mr. Moody.
So you have tested?
There were 3, and I'll tell you how that came about. I issued a general first opinion describing the situation and giving some basic ideas about what to do with it. And then questions were thrown at me about why my first opinion may not be right. And I threw opinions back at them explaining why I was right, and 2 and 3. So it sounds like you maybe got 2, you didn't get 3, or maybe you got 1 and didn't get 2 and 3. But there are 3 letters, and I would have brought them tonight. I'm sorry I didn't bring them, but there are 3.
Thank you for clearing that up. I appreciate that.
One more question, Randy, and then we got Mr. Talbert.
Okay. The question I'm trying to get here, or It seems like to me you have testified that your opinions were not presented to us, and the ones that were presented to some people were misconstrued and not maybe said the way that you said it. Because we never got anything that said that we could move forward and not be any kind of legal challenge. We never got that. Even though we did one, or we advertised, I think, in the journal or whatever we did, and you said that helped us, okay? We never got all that information. We just was able to react. It seemed like our planner became our legal advisor, I guess, because I never personally talked to the planner. I got to admit that right up front. But I know some of the people that did talk to the planner said that the planner said we had to do, to settle the lawsuit, and we had to have a moratorium, okay? You had looked at it differently. You had seen, in your opinion, and again, I don't have the three opinions you wrote, but you had said that we could beat this case. Do you feel still that way?
Okay, you got two different, the federal court lawsuit was not in my lane.
Correct.
So I haven't looked at that other than I did glance at the pleadings and stuff. I
Right.
looked at the issue of what you needed to do to fix your zoning ordinance.
And you feel like that's enforceable still yet? If
I think there is a series of things to do, one of which you've already done. Now, it takes $55 and 2 sheets of paper to file a lawsuit. So I can't tell you somebody isn't going to try,
Right.
but I've laid out the best plan that I think there is to try to keep zoning in place in this parish to avoid having this window of wild, wild west that I was talking about.
And you are willing to still fight for the people of Livingston Parish, is that correct?
In fact, if you look at my termination letter, I told President Ricks that I was going to answer the questions from the Livingston Parish Council about zoning, whether he paid me or not.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I tell you this. I'm 73 years old. I don't have to work. I work to have something to do when I'm not doing Red Cross disaster relief operations or spending time with my grandchild.
I haven't voted to fire you, and I'm going to ask the attorney, Mr. Cascio, if that's a requirement for you to be fired.
My understanding is that the parish president and the administration, as the administrator, has the authority to sign contracts and sign checks. It's my understanding that as the administrator, he can choose to fire or not renew a contract. Now, if you guys have a specific purpose to rehire Mr. Irving, by all means, you can vote on it, and you can. That's in section 402.
Yeah, you're right, you're correct. So, Mr. Brad, what is the difference in rehiring him or saying he's not fired? I didn't see anywhere in the charter where Mr. Ricks had the authority. You're correct, he does sign contracts and he does pay the checks, okay? I don't see anywhere where he has authority to hire someone that the council hired. No more than he has authority to fire Sandy, you know?
I think the difference between Mr. Irving and Miss Sandy would be that Miss Sandy is an employee of the council, while y'all did hire Mr. Irving, it's my understanding it's through a contract. So he's more of a contractor than an employee. And that does make a difference when it comes to who controls.
I'm gonna do some case history here. Miss,
You want to get a few more?
I'm gonna do some case history first.
Randy?
Okay, we're gonna get to the bottom of it. Listen,
It's up like-
no,
it's-
Mr.
you need to kind of
Chairman,
move on, okay?
we need to move on, but we
I
got to
Got
prove
another one
a
you
point here.
want?
These people want us to move on correctly.
Brought several.
That's what I'm reading now.
Albert asked a question that night,
I'll give you.
what I called Randy about today.
So,
Mr. McMorris, that's all right. I'm just, look, I got,
Apologize, sir.
Here's,
we had a problem last time with people walking around in the meeting, so
John, what?
let's try to wrap things up.
He's not signed, he's working or he's not working?
What's
We gotta
that?
figure it out. Is he working for us or he's not working? I need you to tell us.
Just let him work it out.
Okay, well, did he answer your question?
I'm waiting for him.
So what Mr. McMorris showed me, it looked like is the minutes from a meeting where Mr. Moody was asked if you guys could hire Mr. Irving, and that absolutely is correct. Under the charter, I believe, like I said, I believe it's section 402.
You're correct.
You guys have the authority to hire special counsel as long as it's for a specific purpose, and you I believe you even have to set the amount of money you're willing to spend.
We did.
And
we
that's
had-
what y'all did. So
We did.
you absolutely have the right to hire him, no doubt
Yeah.
about it.
And who has the right to fire him?
My understanding, I would imagine that it would be either, it could be you guys or it could be the administration.
And
It's a
how would he have
contractor.
that right? Where at? Where does he have that right at?
The fact that it's through a contract and it's a contractor and he's the one
Okay,
that
he has a
signs.
signed contract. So
Right,
now, so
and
now what?
If he's the one that signs the contracts and sets the contracts, but if you guys want to rehire him, you can.
I make a motion, we rehire Mr. Irvin right now.
Only to set it for a specific purpose.
To finish helping us dealing with legal matters to get zoning in Livingston Parish to protect the residents that live here now.
I would suggest, make clear in that I can advise the council.
And, I mean, only in Livingston Parish, you have to make clear that he can advise the council because he works for them.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I think everyone knows what that motion and second is.
I do have something to say.
Look, we got a motion and a second, then we'll have discussion. We're not voting, we gotta have discussion first.
You gotta have
We have a
discussion before
motion
you
and a
vote.
second, according to Robert's Rules of Order, then discussion. So we have a motion by Mr. Delat, seconded by Ms. Sanford. Now, discussion. The first person that tapped for a question was Mr. Talbot. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Irwin,
Yes, sir.
you signed a contract with Mr. Ricks on June 1st, am I correct?
That is not correct. The
Okay.
contract is dated June the 1st, but as late as the third week in June, it still wasn't signed, and it only got signed after several of the councilmen started to make an issue about the fact that the contract had never been signed.
Okay, so,
I actually had done most of the work.
the contract, I'm just reading the contract. The contract says, the Livingston Parish does hereby employ Steve M. Irving of the Maley Law Firm to perform the following legal services: to advise the Livingston Parish, primarily Planning and Zoning Commission, concerning the adoption and implementation of zoning and land use planning. It outlines your hourly rate of $225, your bills are to be submitted monthly, and the budget for the work is $40,000. And you and Mr. Ricks execute the contract. My question is, as I understand it, part of the problem with our zoning law that we implemented is that we didn't allow Planning and Zoning Commission to do as state law says they're required to do. So I was under the impression that your legal services were to get them to do the things they needed to do to make our zoning law effective. Look, and then obviously there is a separation of powers within the Home Rule Charter. We requested that we hire an attorney. As I see it, the administration has the ability to sign that contract. We do not have budgeted money allocated for an attorney to hire. We don't have the ability to generate a request for funds. So I don't know how in the world we as a council can hire anybody if we don't have money allocated. So we can't designate an expenditure that we don't have money for. We can only let the administration make those determinations because they're the ones that administer the budget. So my question to Brad is, if this is the contract as it was signed, and there was a scope of work outlined, and the parish president signed the contract, and then his termination letter doesn't feel like the scope of work that was outlined in the contract was what was being done, he had every right to terminate the contract. The question is, I'm not saying we can't hire anybody, but how can we hire anybody if we don't have any money budgeted to hire anybody, and we do not have the ability as a council to generate an appropriation?
All right, we next have a.
Wait, I got a question to Brad.
I thought that.
I was asking Brad a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't think that was a question.
No, and it's an interesting point because the charter does state that based on the vote of the majority, you guys can hire special legal counsel for certain issues, and as long as you set out the terms. But you're absolutely right. It's up to the administration to execute the contracts and sign the checks. And so I think why he terminated them, that's beyond me. I have nothing to do with that. But the fact that he can, if he can, the answer is yes. But you guys can rehire him if you have the votes to do so.
All right, Mr. Mack's next up in the queue.
Two things. I hear what you're saying about the budget, Gary, but I just want to ask everybody in the room here. Going through this situation we've been going through in zoning Livingston Parish, do you think it's fair in any way, shape at all that if a councilman who truly cares and loves the people that he represents and wants to make sure that their rights are protected, you know, as much as possible, should be excluded from communicating from the attorney's advice? Do you feel like we should be excluded and we shouldn't have the right? Well, then the man shouldn't have been fired for communicating with us. I mean, we were just asking legitimate questions so that we could make the right decision for the people of Livingston Parish. And the other thing I want to say is this. No disrespect to anybody, but I would like to get more legal advice on whether or not the parish president has the right to fire Mr. Irvin, or if the council has to have.
He doesn't.
Does the council have to ratify that?
He doesn't. He just has the right for the contracts and to write a check. That's his two rights. He don't have to pay the check. He's got $4,000. He eat that $4,000.
It would seem to me that it makes more sense that if the council has the authority and right to hire, then the council would have the authority and right to fire.
That's right.
Next up in the queue is Ms. Sandifer.
I just want to mention the contract that you just read, Mr. Talbert, was a modified contract, and that was not the original contract submitted to be signed. Mr. Ricks modified it. That's my understanding, that Mr. Ricks modified it to say primarily the Planning Commission. We didn't hire or contract an attorney to help us to advise the Planning Commission. We contracted an attorney for us to utilize and for him to advise us. I just needed to make that correction on public record.
We have I'm going to get Mr. McMorris just a moment to speak.
So I'm gonna go back to Villavasa. Is he underneath the same contract?
No,
I'm talking about it, how's it written?
it's not the same.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, Gerald.
So I'm gonna tell y'all what, I'm gonna excuse myself from this meeting. That I think you made a wise choice. Thank you for your words of advice. I would love to see your paperwork. Please get it to Brad for me, please, because I have some big decisions I have to do also. Brad, thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's see. I think before I go to Mr. Girlinghouse, I think's in the queue.
Oh, Abby. No, I can't read.
Push it down.
There it is. So does it say specifically why you were fired? I know we're assuming that it was because you spoke to us, and that's why, or?
That's what he said.
You got an opinion letter, the termination letter straight up says that it was because I communicated with Councilwoman Sandifer, and like I say, I think it's actually her lawyer I communicated with, and it wasn't a zoning question, but I communicated with her directly or indirectly without letting President Ricks know about it. But she circulated it almost as soon as I sent it. Her lawyer sent it to her, and she circulated it, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do if she already circulated it. I gather that the issue is that I didn't clear it with him in advance, but I can't give you independent legal advice if I got to clear it with him first.
I understand.
Tracy. Tracy, I can.
What's troublesome to me about the whole thing is, I've spoke with you about zoning where we stood, and in your opinion, we could fix it as we went, and well, then you get opinions that say opposite, and you said yourself, look, I'm going to say this, but there's a lot of people out there who would challenge me on the way I do that. I understand that's law. Everybody can argue either point, including you. I'm sure if you wanted to argue against it, you could.
Sure.
My problem is, this seems like we get, as a council, or I can say for myself specifically, we get kind of edged out of conversations where you don't get information for certain things and you get other information, and we just trying to do the best we can with what we got going forward. And I feel like at times I felt like we were being sabotaged at different angles or something. So
you should put yourself in my shoes.
I understand. Where you're being sabotaged trying to get something done, especially with when it pertains to zoning, where we're at. Where are we at? What do we need to do? Do we need to scrap it? I mean, I hate that, but okay. Can we fix what we got? Even better. I'd love to do that.
I issued 3 letters telling you how to do it.
It just worrisome to me that this is why you got terminated, because you spoke to a council person. If that's the case, well, I mean, that's your job. If they call you, I would expect you to ask them, answer her questions. So
he could have just as easily fired me for the conversation I had with you, because I didn't tell him about that either.
Yeah.
Tracy.
Thank you.
Can I read this? This is from Mr. Rick's desk.
Go ahead, let's let Ms. Sandifer read the letter, then
I do. It's important, and it does answer your question precisely. This is a notification that your contract with Livingston Parish dated June 1st, 2023 is hereby terminated effective immediately. It was recently brought to my attention that you've been communicating with Council Member Aaron Sandifer while excluding me, Parish Legal Advisor Chris Moody, and members of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission and other members of the council. The communication has included legal advice and/or legal opinions requested by or issued to a sole council member. The Livingston Parish voted unanimously on May 25th to contract with you as a special attorney to provide legal services to the parish governing authority regarding the zoning for Livingston Parish. Mr. Moody said it most improper for you to provide research, opinions, or legal advice to one elected official of the council. It was stressed clearly to you during our meeting that you were to include me, the parish legal advisor, and/or the planning commission in all your communications. Please provide me with a copy of all opinions, letters, and emails sent to any person in this case to date. Nobody was excluded. I sent it out as soon as.
Well, we have a motion, I think, was to, did you get his motion?
Rehire him?
Rehire Mr. Irving, and we had a second by,
I need to say something in the motion. Mr. Moody made sure that we put the amount, and it's the Attorney General's amount. What is it, 250, 350? I forget what it is. Whatever the Attorney General.
Well, whatever was in the last one.
The hourly rate was $225 on the last contract with a cap at $40,000.
so,
And just make sure the motion has included in it the specific purpose as well.
And by the way, this isn't going to cost anything near $40,000.
okay, well, I know some people in the public may want to speak. Raise your hand. Sure, okay, let's give them 1 minute, if you would. Just make it quick, because we're going to call for the vote. We got a lot of stuff to cover tonight.
Mr. Irvin, you did
You want me to
a
move?
great job.
Yeah, just step aside, Mr. Irving, and
Done a great job.
Quick, just if I could advise the council, John Mangus, 13065.
We need another
Catahoula,
advisor.
Denham Springs. As someone who's a certified public speaking teacher in the state of Louisiana, and I've taught parliamentary procedure, I would advise the council not to rehire Mr. Irving, because if you rehire him, and no offense to you, just stay with me 1 second, you've now validated his firing and the parish president's right to do so. So you can't be upset that he was fired if you turn around and then rehire him. You just made it so. So I would advise you to vote no and make a new motion that he's not fired, and then let it play out with the
Wanna
legal.
change your
Thank you
motion
so
to that?
much. Yeah, let's change it.
Mr. Cascio, do you have any comment on that? He caught us by surprise on that one.
Yeah.
I can
I
tell
got to
you.
think about that. You know, because
I think we need to.
Give him a second, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't think anything you do is going to change what
The
President
outcome.
Ricks did. Whether you have a motion to rehire and it passes, then he's employed, or if you have a motion that he was never fired, he's employed. So I don't see a practical difference. I think the question of whether or not Mr. Ricks can fire him or not, if it goes to a legal case, I don't think this motion will have that much effect on it.
Okay,
But
so would it behoove to say, if, just for sake of covering the bases, say that he wasn't fired, but if he was, this is a motion to rehire him?
I guess you could do that.
Okay.
Can we
Mr.
just
Calvert.
not acknowledge?
So I've just got I got one question for Brad. This is parliamentary, whatever. If you look at the addendum, it says discussion and inquiry of administrator's notice of contract termination of Steve Irving, who was engaged on May 25th, according to the Livingston Parish resolution by the council, to provide legal services as the parish planning and zoning attorney to advise regarding the adoption, implementation, and zoning of land use planning. Now, we passed a resolution which is, we have determined over the years isn't worth a lot, other than the fact that it is a request of the parish president to engage Mr. Irving by resolution, not by ordinance, by resolution. And the item on the agenda is to discuss it and make an inquiry. But there's nothing about this that would allow us to contract with Mr. Irving based on the item on the agenda. So I think as a parliamentary procedure, we're out of order in trying to rehire or unfire Mr. Irving, because basically we passed a resolution asking the parish president to hire him. He by contract hired him. He by letter terminated the contract. And there's nothing in A1 that allows us to create another resolution. What are we going to do? We create a resolution asking the parish president to hire him again? We're gonna create a resolution, ask the parish president to unfire him. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out from a practical legal point of view what are our options, and I don't see anything in A1 that allows us to enter into another contract with Mr. Irving.
Mr. Cassio, do you have any comment on that?
Well, like I said, the council can hire special legal counsel. You have the authority to do that. Now, the way it's worded on the agenda doesn't mention that that was the plan tonight.
Okay. So I would reword that motion, what you're saying, right? The word, I don't want to hire Mr. Irvin anymore because I don't think he's ever fired. So I want to go on record as saying he's not fired, and I need a second for that.
All right, so the motion is to say that a resolution saying that Mr. Irving was not fired by the parish.
He was not fired in a legal capacity.
And that he still works for the
First
council?
motion has been withdrawn.
First motion is withdrawn.
Okay.
And that he still works for the council?
He still works for the council. He has not been fired.
And that second was by Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse. Shane, you want to just call for the vote, or you got one more thing? You're in the queue.
No, I'm good.
All right, let's call for the vote.
Wait.
Whenever you get it. Did you get all that put together?
Okay, who made, so,
I made the motion, Tracy second.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Delat made the motion to say that Mr. Irving is not fired, and Mr. Girlinghouse seconded that. Oh, well, I called everyone, and we didn't. It's the same motion, but do you have something you have to say, Brian? Come on up. We got a long agenda here. Help us out, buddy.
Brian Clemens, 34322 Robbie Lee. If payment of the lawyer is an issue, and Mr. Ricks has control of the purse strings, I'd like to make $1,000 available to the council of my own money if you need it, because Mr. Ricks doesn't want to pay him. And I'm sure there's other members of the public that would also jump in and help you with this expenditure.
Thank you, Mr. Clemens.
I bet there ain't no more hands going up now. Okay.
I appreciate that. In my termination letter, I said I'd work for free if I had to service the people in Livingston Parish. So, that's just the way it is.
Is there any more, real quick, or y'all want to just, I think it's going to get to pass. Just go ahead and call for the vote. Go ahead and call for the vote, Miss Sandy. Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Talbert?
No.
Mr. McMorris? He's absent. Mr. King? Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse? Yes. Mr. Wascom?
Yes. All right, that motion carried.
Going to iPad.
All right, it's going to get even better.
Is that what you call it?
It's even better. Item A, addenda item A3. Let's go straight to,
Want to abstain him?
pardon?
No, I'm just trying to.
Miss Caroline, just tell me when you're ready.
What number are you going to?
A3, Alpha 3.
Hit next.
Hey,
This is
Caroline, can I log him out?
You gonna do that one before?
Where you going? You're going A3? What is A3?
That's the Jeff Orton's moratorium. It will. Make sure it does.
He shows absent.
Come back.
I don't know if he really did.
You ready, Ms. Caroline?
What he says.
All right. Item A3 is an introduction.
Are we skipping A2?
No, we're going to come back to it. We're just going to do this one first. Just to get it first, let's get it done. Introduction of an ordinance to adopt a parish-wide moratorium prohibiting the submittal of any application for a preliminary plat for a subdivision with improvements for the period of 120 days, I believe, until the adoption of an updated zoning. This was placed on the agenda by Mr. Ard. I'm going to turn this over to you.
All right. Ms. Sandy, do you have that where you can read it for us?
You want me to read it? It's LP ordinance, proposed ordinance 23-30, an ordinance to adopt a parish-wide moratorium prohibiting the submittal of any applications for a preliminary plat for a subdivision with improvements for a period of 120 days or until the adoption of an updated zoning ordinance, whichever occurs first. The public hearing is going to be August 24th at 6 o'clock.
All right. So after the last meeting, I contacted Mr. Villavasso, and I asked him to watch the meeting. I sent him the moratorium that Shane wrote, and I said, I want you to write us something that's fair to everyone in Livingston Parish. And he wrote that, not me. I didn't write it. I advised him one thing: don't go past the second meeting of the next council. That was the only thing I advised him. Let them come in, and if it needs to extend, they can vote to extend it. Let them make that decision. Other than that, he wrote this. He said this is a fair way to do it. He said this protects people that have invested money in our parish. I keep hearing all this stuff about mega developers coming in here and destroying our parish, but I see developers out here that's lived here their whole life. I've seen people come to this podium that live in homes that these people built. And because of one out-of-town developer, we have all this issue going on in our parish, and it needs to stop. We need to get back to working as one. We need to work together. These people have built our parish. They always step up when we ask them. Anybody that has an issue, they step up. They have a voice too. They're part of this parish too. You know, and we're wanting to stop all work in Livingston Parish. We want to just shut it down for a year.
Nobody said that.
What you mean nobody said that?
Nobody said shut
It's
all
12
down.
months.
It was excluding 50 lots or 100 acres or more to protect our people.
Let him finish.
Mr. Ard, you had,
Let him finish.
do you have a,
So,
go ahead.
Let Jeff finish.
Go ahead, Jeff. I didn't mean to slow you
can I
down.
finish?
Go ahead, Jeff. You got the floor.
All right. So I felt like that letting the professional be the one to write it takes this council out of it. He wrote it. He handed it to me. I changed zero on it. Absolutely nothing did I change on it. I presented it to this council. This is what the professional that we hired, that we all agreed to listen to. Every one of us sit up here and said, we're going to listen to what he tells us. He didn't see the moratorium that was presented last time. He didn't see it. He didn't know what it was said until I sent it to him.
Mr. Hart's got the floor still.
You know, so I asked him to write us something that we can live with. Give us something that protects everybody. And I think it does. I've talked to some of the guys that are running for these seats. They would like to have the opportunity to see if they want to go any further with this moratorium. You know, they would like to make that vote. And when they walk in here, Mr. Villavasso says that he will be able to tell them exactly how many days he needs to finish it, if it's not already finished. That he will be able to tell the next council, I need 30 days, I need 60 days. He will be able to tell them exactly what they need.
Hold on one second. I'll give you a chance to
You know, so I think that's fair for everyone. It protects the people that have invested money in our parish. It allows people to go to work every day. It doesn't impact our parish at all. But it does stop anything new. If a new big developer wants to come across here and build right now, he's not. He's stopped. We're going to fix zoning first. And every one of them that I have talked to says they're good with zoning. They're good with any laws that we make. Just tell them what it is on the front end, and they will build it the way we want it. So I will also add that we keep saying that 125 is not good. Why is it not on the ordinance committee meeting? Why have we not started working on it? What's the deal? Are we working on it? Are we trying to fix it? Are we just going to keep coming up with excuses of not doing it? We still have a job to do. I know we're all in campaigns, but we still have a job to do and we're not doing it. So I'll make a motion that we pass this, adopt this, introduce it, be an introduction.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion to introduce this ordinance. You read by title yet, or? Okay, so let's go ahead and have a public hearing. There's a motion by Mr. Ord, second by Mr. Talbert for an introduction. It was introduced. So let's have the public hearings. Is anyone here to speak for or against this moratorium ordinance? Ms. Ferris?
Sarah Ferris, 19241. So first thought is you don't work on your car while it's rolling down the road. So you can't fix 125 while there's multiple things in flight, multiple developments in flight. So I want to point that out. This is kind of like crumbs from the table at this point. Like, this is the best we're going to get, so we'll take it. That's kind of my opinion. What I do want to point out is, if I'm understanding this one correctly, this is for preliminary plat submittals, right? Okay, so what does it take to get a submittal? Can anybody answer that for me? What does it take to say I have submitted my preliminary plat?
You have to go in and have your first official visit with planning.
Which is what? An email and a fee?
Nope.
That's not the planning commission meeting where your preliminary plat is approved. That's getting on the agenda.
Yeah.
That's the differentiation I would make. So preliminary plat approval is, I've gone to the meeting, Planning and Zoning Commission has voted on it, my preliminary plat is approved. This is people that are in the queue. So from now until the time that hopefully Mr. Rick signs this, because this is the best it's going to get, there's going to be a mad rush of people to get in that queue so that they don't have to fall under this moratorium. So I'll take it because it's the best I think we're going to get, but it's pretty disappointing.
Is there, far back right? Oh. Pardon? Oh, yeah, you must.
Necessary.
Yes, I have a sheep farm, so I'm coming in. After I've been, I know, right? I have whiskey, so if y'all are done, y'all can come. So, I have a question about this moratorium. Does it exclude?
State your name and address.
Oh, my name's Rebecca Roberts. I live on Reniger Road. Does it exclude multifamily living and apartments to be built?
That's not.
It does not. So we would be protected from that.
No, it doesn't cover that.
Well,
That's not in here.
I asked him today. I'll tell you what he said.
It's not in here.
I think that is something that we should look at, because if y'all are coming down on people building
This
their
is for
homes-
subdivisions with improvements only. It says
So, but
Let me get
apartments
to
can
it.
come in and be built.
apartments, multifamily development can come in.
We need to look at that, because,
That was just passed, but it got vetoed.
and it got, so we will not be affected by that, because y'all really need to step up for us on that. Let me tell you why. Because water does not absorb through concrete. It doesn't. And if y'all don't believe, and I've had discussions, in this global warming, seas are rising, I was one of them. I'll be honest with you. I built an RV park down in Leeville, which is just 20 minutes north of Grand Isle, okay? I built that in 2003. I added over an acre of land to this place. There was a barrier island in front of me that protected my RV park from the waves rolling in. I was very fortunate in 2010. A gentleman loved what I had, and he wanted to buy it. I have watched that barrier island in front of that place disappear. The levels have risen. You can't get there through certain things.
Ms. Rebecca, we talk about a moratorium now, okay?
Let me get there. Let me tell you why. Because y'all are building a concrete jungle. and we do not want that. We have so much flooding going on. I live on Renninger Road. I'm 164 miles from Grand Isle. When that storm, Category 4, came through, I was hit with winds of up to almost 150 miles an hour.
As we all were.
And let me tell you this, if y'all don't believe in this flooding and what's happening, we have had 2 weeks of over 100-degree weather. Why is that? We're losing our farms. We're losing our trees. We're building everywhere we possibly can. Y'all need to protect us and build closer to the infrastructures of the interstate. Let the rules stay out. We keep building, we're going to kill ourselves. You're talking to somebody who really just didn't believe in that. But I have had 2 weeks now of 100-degree weather. I walk on my grass that my sheep have to eat, and it's like eating burnt grass. I am constantly
we're talking about a moratorium
I know
here,
we're
okay?
talking about a moratorium.
So
and what
let's-
happens with that is when you keep building, you're changing everything around us. And I'm asking for you to at least take into consideration what you're doing and how the water is being displaced and what we're doing for our area. Because y'all can do better. I know y'all can. There's not a face up here I have not talked to. There's not a face up here I haven't had a pleasure just to say I got to know you. But the moratorium I'm asking is that it be fair across the board. So
Can I read you his response? So when I talked to you today, I sent in and asked him if it would be held to multifamily and apartments. He says, if any residential project needs a re-subdivision, plat amendment, infrastructure improvement approval, this moratorium will apply. This only exceptions are an individual residential lot structure and all non-residential projects. Example, commercial, industrial uses.
Right.
From a planner's perspective, this includes all forms of residential, including multifamily, if it needs a re-subdivision, plat amendment, infrastructure approval, except
what is
single structures.
what is your opinion on that?
Are you finished?
I'll tell you this.
No,
I just
wait.
want legal-
Brad, excuse me, hold on. I'm gonna let Ms. Rebecca finish first,
I
because,
just want a legal opinion
okay,
about
well,
what I'm asking.
okay, well, go sit down, Ms. Rebecca. If
I'll
you
tell
would,
you
if you
this, Ms.
finish,
Rebecca.
go sit down
I
and
do
he'll
have
give
one
your
last
opinion.
thing to say,
Make
since
it-
I've got the
make it
question.
please, make it quick.
We're in an election year. Do not promise things you can't deliver and say all of a sudden we ain't got money. And there's one last thing I want to say. There is a lot of people out here, and if you are running, please stand up, because I would love to know who
Ms.
you
Rebecca,
are.
we're here
Hold
talking
on
about a
one second.
moratorium. We're
Just
not
listen.
campaigning on this item,
We're not
okay?
campaigning. Here is my point. Come together as a committee. You can't slander somebody and expect them to reach across the aisle and want to work with you. So I'm asking everyone, stop what you're doing, work together, because that's the only way it's going to get done.
We're here doing our best we can, Ms.
And,
Rebecca.
well, I'm asking everybody to be on your best behavior,
Thank
and
you.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
You can answer her question now, Mr. Cashin.
Well, my answer is simply this, guys. I'm an assistant district attorney, okay? When I'm not here, I'm prosecuting felonies. That's what I do day in and day out. I come here and I assist this council and I assist Livingston Parish government with some day-to-day activities, some procedural activities. When it gets into specialized things, I specialize in prosecution. That's what I do. When it gets into specializations about zoning and an ordinance that I didn't write, that Mr. Villavasso wrote, and I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Villavasso knows what he's doing. And so I'm gonna defer it to his opinion. If he thinks this is gonna cover apartments, I trust him with that.
All right, we had Mr. Bank in the queue.
Yeah, so if we need to get further legal opinion, we can. But what I want to say is that Villavasso didn't write this. Shane Mack wrote this. He took the ordinance that I wrote and he modified it, okay? It's very clear in the top section that this prohibits the submittal of any application for a preliminary plat for a subdivision. Is a multifamily development a division of property? It is not. This is for a subdivision with improvements, okay? It is clearly defined in the ordinances that we have what a subdivision with improvements is. This does not apply to multifamily development. He must have been mistaken when he communicated that. What I also want to say is that what I also want to say is that, in my opinion, this doesn't quite protect the citizens as much as the original. But this does give everyone a good bit of protection moving forward so that we can take time out to rewrite these regulations and these zoning ordinances. So, like Ms. Sarah, I agree with what Ms. Sarah said, right? This moratorium is way better than no moratorium, and I think we need to, as someone else said, Ms. Roberts, let's work together and let's pass this moratorium, and then let's work on our zoning and regulations, and let's try to get some good things accomplished.
Mr. Talbert's up in the queue. I'll
defer.
Defer,
because, I mean, Shane said the same thing I wanted to say. Let's just move,
Can we
let's
get
just
Jim
move
real quick
forward.
before we- Okay. Mr. Marlin.
So last meeting, what you just read was correct, but Gary come up and said, no, it needs to be multifamilies included.
It's true.
And you said, yep, we're going to add them.
That's the old ordinance that was vetoed. This is a new ordinance being introduced.
Well, we haven't seen that. I mean, y'all keep everything up here hidden.
Okay, this is a new.
No, we don't.
Well, I mean,
The old
I ain't got no
ordinance-
internet service.
The old ordinance was amended to include multifamily. This
Yeah,
one
I'm just
does
saying,
not.
but y'all acting like
I was
it's
trying
way
to clear it
better
for you.
in there,
I was trying to clear it up for you.
Crowd needs to be here.
All right, let's see. We got one right here. This gentleman. Can you please?
So I'm really not for sure, so I'm just wanting to get a clearer definition of subdivision with improvement. What does that actually mean? So if I have 100
Give us your name.
acres.
Give us your name and
Oh, I'm
address.
sorry, Jeremy Glasscock, 29960 Marsh Drive, Livingston, Louisiana. If I have 100 acres of land and I want to split it right down the middle into 50-acre tracts, that's still a subdivision, right?
It's a division of property, but that would fall under a minor subdivision. It's defined in the ordinances.
Okay, all right.
That's not included in this.
All right, and one more question. Is all the districts included in this moratorium? Because
All the
last time
districts, the
Jeff
whole
had his
parish.
stuff legal and he
The whole
wasn't playing
parish.
anymore.
The whole
Okay.
parish.
All right. We had any more questions in the audience regarding this? I'm going to call it.
No, I got something.
Oh, Mr. Delant had a question.
Yes. Okay, I know it's just an introduction, guys, but maybe we can skip the veto override with something. I don't know. I want to propose something. First, I want to applaud my opponent, Mr. Ord. I think that was a great job of trying to work with everybody that's here. He had proposed that, and we can't just shoot holes in it. But there's some amendments I think could even make it better. I'm thinking that if we amend his moratorium, we don't have to do the veto override. And the reason I'm saying this is if we approve, or we can do it vice versa, it doesn't matter. We either can amend his moratorium or do the veto override, it doesn't matter. All what I'm trying to do is close the 2-week loophole up, the 2-week loophole. He has a good moratorium, but we got 2 weeks where people can do whatever they want to do. Or a month, then, a month. But if we override the veto and use that, what he did, to amend it the way you want, you don't have that 1 month. You understand what I'm saying? It's just in place for a month. Let me explain what I'm trying to say. If we approve the moratorium on the 24th, that gives us 14 days when there's no kind of moratorium, okay? People's gonna lose, out-of-town mega developments win. I know, make no mistake, I'm for the people here tonight, okay? We know all that stuff. What I'm trying to say, the 1,400 homes that's involved right now is enough to keep the big developments going. The 14,000, not 1,400. The 14,000 homes that's approved is enough to keep them going for the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks until we can do it, where we don't. If not, you got another month where people's gonna be able to do whatever they want with no rules. With no rules. I like what are the rules we got vetoed. I like what Jeff is doing. Let's give him some more help. Let's put some more stuff where the people don't, are upset about. We just have to be the people, to be the contractor.
I want to ask Randy a question.
Well, we got Ms. Sandifer in the queue.
Okay.
Do you want to let
I think I was going to speak to Randy's problem right now, and I think there's a.
her give it to him for a second? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Ms.
that's fine.
Brad, is there a procedure where we can declare an emergency and adopt an ordinance tonight?
I don't think so.
He said he was a prosecutor.
So, I mean, I thought there were situations under emergency that you could adopt the ordinance without a 2-week public hearing, I mean, a two-week period. I mean, I'm just saying that so typically an ordinance is introduced and then 2 weeks later you have a public hearing, but under an emergency, There are situations when you can adopt the ordinance as it's introduced. So I'm just wondering if we've had Mr. Irving tell us that he was trying to stop a rush. We've had Randy tell us that he's trying to close a 2-week loophole. So my question to you is, can this ordinance, as Jeff introduced it, be adopted tonight as an emergency?
I don't know what the emergency would be. I understand
Well,
the
I mean,
need
we've
for it,
been
don't get
told
me
there's an
wrong,
emergency
but-
because there'll be a
You got the
rush
charter?
of.
I want my turn. I have a few things. I just need a few minutes to say everything I need to say, because there are 7,500 homes that are supposed to come, that have been through preliminary. More than 5,000 of those are in my district. This is a faux moratorium. This is not even real, and it excludes so much of my district, Jeff. And my district is in trouble. I have got too much development that is going to tear up my district. So you said you're going to be fair to everybody. That's not being fair to us. You're not hearing our needs.
Them houses are already approved.
Well, I have, okay.
So no matter what we do, they're still.
No,
gonna be
that's
built.
not true. That's called contracting, and that's the name of the
They
game.
still have to go through the process of getting approved.
Well, this is just not, this moratorium has so many holes in it. 5 of you
I'm
signed.
using the professional that you stood up here and told us to hire.
I haven't heard from him.
I mean, that's who
I haven't heard from him.
Well,
I
I
have
mean,
not heard from him on the moratorium
you're the
that
one
you're
that's-
presenting.
All right, let's try to just make a comment.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I finish,
Well,
and
he's
then you
gone.
can go back to that? 5 of you signed a settlement agreement that you can't take any action to stop a subdivision that you voted to settle. It has to go back through preliminary, which means none of you can vote for this new 120-day moratorium because it would block that. There's one councilman that's not present right now that will be sued personally, and it is mentioned in the lawsuit. He alone will be sued personally and does not have legislative immunity on it. The reason you cannot vote for it is that the first plat is null and void, and this 120-day moratorium would block them from starting over as a new submittal. Chris Moody wrote this in black and white in a letter to the council in July. And I'll quote him. There is also no newspaper advertisement for this particular development and others. First Planning Commission plat approval was in 2022 on that said development. If so, the approval would be a nullity. And I suggest that they would have to start over. That's our attorney's words. The lack of that advertisement is sadly lethal to the approval of the plat. If the council tries to ignore the fact that the preliminary plats are legally invalid, we are opening ourselves up to another lawsuit by the citizens of the parish to challenge that action. They have already won one lawsuit in our district court. One more thing, Tracy and Jeff, if you didn't put ads in the newspaper to create your zoning maps have the same fatal flaw that mine are accused of having, as Chris Moody put it in the letter. This, and to add, part of this moratorium says that it does not apply to an amendment to an application for the preliminary plat submitted before the effective date of this ordinance. This is baloney, and this singles out my district and just lets the gravy train in, and we can't take it. It's going to hurt my people in my district.
I'm listening to the professional that you brought to us.
I haven't heard from him on
You brought that
this.
professional in here, and you said, this is the guy we need to fix our problems in Livingston
Did you
Parish."
call me this week? Did you
I
tell me
called the
anything about this?
professional and
I
talked
don't
to
care.
him.
All right,
I didn't hear from
here,
him.
let's focus back on.
What are you doing?
All right, we had, I think, is there anyone else to speak for or against this specific moratorium that has been introduced? And we had a motion by Mr. Ard, seconded by Mr. Gary Talbert, to adopt the moratorium.
We didn't finish. I had to answer Mr. Talbert's question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. He was.
So under Section 214, there are situations for emergencies that an ordinance can be adopted at introduction. However, it says, provided that no such ordinance may be used to, and it goes through a list of things, levy taxes, special assessments, yada, yada, adopt or amend an official map, platting or subdivision controls or zoning regulations. So we're not able to do this one.
Okay, I just knew that there was
It
the
a good
ability. I
question.
just wanted
Yes.
to try to close the loophole. That's
I
all.
understand what you're trying to do. I think it's a good idea to close the loophole. I get it, but we can't do it that way.
All right, Mr. Mack?
I was just going to say, Randy started a conversation about the veto moratorium, about overriding the veto or something. Did he finish that?
I didn't finish it, but it's probably improper. I'm in support of what Jeff's doing. I'm in support of that. Let's introduce that, and then when we
We'll pick it up next council.
Yes.
I can vote to introduce it. I'll vote to introduce it, but I don't think I can support it in 2 weeks when we bring it up for a public hearing and a vote. It's got too many holes in it, and I have to call a spade here. This is a showboat political move.
Maybe.
Thank you. Shane, let's go ahead and call for the vote, Shane, okay? We got the motion in second. This for the introduction, it's been done, and if it needs to be tweaked, it'll be here next week. We can do it again.
That's what I was going to say.
All right, motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mr. Talbert. Go ahead and call for the vote.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris, absent. Mr. King? Yes. Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Mr. Garlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes. All right. Now, let's go to addenda item A. Yeah, which one?
We're going to pull A2?
That was, let's see, give me 1 second. A2 now. This will be a discussion of a veto statement of LP 2326, 12-month moratorium prohibition of preliminary site plans for subdivisions with or without improvements into more than 50 lots or more. This is the ordinance, the moratorium that we passed 2 meetings ago that was vetoed by the parish president. And I think Home Rule Charter requires that it come back to the council. Of course, we've already working now on getting a moratorium that will not be vetoed, but it's required by the Home Rule Charter that it come back to the council. So, I mean, I don't see there's any reason to, I mean, unless somebody wants to fight for it, but it's got to have 2/3 of majority to override a veto, and I just don't see that happening. And
What do the people want?
I want to request to speak.
Mr. Delat, what's that?
We know who's not going to vote.
No, wait, we don't even know we're going to have a motion yet. Let's discuss. Do I have the floor?
No,
Oh, yeah,
Mr.
go
Delat,
ahead.
you have
Randy,
the
take the floor. I'll pull my thing down.
Okay. All right. The reason I want to do the veto override, guys, is the loophole. I think Jeff's working on something that we can live with. I do, okay? But the loophole is bothering me. It's a lot of things. If y'all could find a way that we can close the loophole tonight, I'd be ecstatic about that. I don't know what it is at this time. I don't know myself. I don't know. And I'm going to make the motion that we veto, that we override the veto. I probably won't even get a second. I don't know, but.
I'll second.
All right. And again, that, of course, an override would take 2/3 of majority. Is that correct? So that would be, you would need 6 council members,
Majority
correct?
present?
I want to
Yes.
say this, guys, before we take the vote. Whatever comes with the vote, we do have to make the moratorium work. We do need to work with Jeff. We need to work, everybody's got to work together. Okay, all right. So the 2 weeks, if we can figure anything to keep that 2 weeks, that's a big deal, okay?
Can we call a special meeting, or we got to wait the 2 weeks? We have to.
You gotta wait
the
2
weeks. Yeah.
Wait, that is a thought. I never thought about that. No, you can't, because.
We got to have 2 weeks. I mean, look,
Yeah.
let's face it. The way the law's structured, we got 15 days from the time we prove it, whether it becomes law or the parish president signs it. Now, whether we can shorten that time by amendment or not at a later date so that it becomes effective when it's signed,
Yeah, we
I don't
can
know.
do effective, yeah.
When he
effective
signed it, but we
once-
still have no control over when he chooses to sign it. But there are some things we can try to do by amendment, Randy, to try to shorten the time. But once we vote, it's going to be out of our control, and so it's going to be based on that signature. So you know that's how that time frame's going to work.
Right. Okay, guys, that's all I have.
All right, we have a motion. Ms. Sandifer.
I do want to say, I really like what you said, Mr. Delat. The 2-week window, the timeline is extremely concerning, most especially for District 5. We have a lot coming at us, and we cannot handle it. And I would absolutely work with you if you would override the veto and close that gap so that we can work on this together. That would close it, and that would help everything. appreciate you saying that, Mr. Delatte. You don't want to work?
I'll work with you on this one.
Will you override so we can close the window and then work on this one?
Gary,
So no?
you cancel?
I'm trying to work with you.
I'm trying to work with you. We can work together on this.
But you got to override to protect the people, Jeff.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Wait. Just, do you want to say it, Tracy? Garrett, one of y'all? What happens if you amend the veto?
Can we
I don't think we can amend the veto. We have one option here, to either get 2/3 or
I mean, I
not.
would replace this right now for the one we're vetoing. But we can't do it.
We can amend it once we get it in place. We can come back and amend it, what it says, and that's what we're going to do.
I believe we're trying to move forward on this, council, but I don't think it's there yet to enact this moratorium and then think we're going to amend it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not trying to be ugly. I mean, I'm just telling you, I don't think there's enough trust to override this veto and then amend it. I think that if we will do all we can to make the next moratorium work. But I'm not gonna support this one to come back and amend it later. But I will work to get the new one introduced, approved.
All right, we have a motion to, I believe the motion was to override the veto. Pardon?
No, we.
Well, Rod, I'm going to do it, but I don't have to. But I'm going to do it. Do you want to speak, Rod? Come on up. Oh, we're fixing to bring it to a vote, but this lady wants to talk. I got to let her talk.
Melissa Jones, 32738 Mangum Chapel Road, Walker. I understand what Jeff's saying, and I know that everybody's trying to get everything perfect right now, but y'all have something that y'all can legitimately pass tonight for the people and then turn around and amend it. What is the difference? You got the experts, y'all met the lawyer, that's all above board now. What is the difference in passing and overriding what Layton just did, taking it ain't perfect, I wasn't happy with it, but we would take it as something on the books and then amend it, just like you're trying to wait and tweak another moratorium down the road and then try to pass it. That's a month or two down the road. This is already here in front of everybody. It's y'all's turn to show us, the people, that y'all support us. Y'all can change anything. Everything's amendable. We know that much. Everything's amendable.
Just a whole. All right, is there anyone else here to speak for or against it? What's fair, Jeff? Rod, you good or? Okay, all right.
If we could legally replace this one, I would.
I'll tell you what, let's call for the vote. We're going to take a break, go to the restroom.
I'll wait.
Ms. Sandy, you ready to call for the vote? Let's call for the vote.
You might have to.
Aaron, you still want to talk? You're in the queue.
Just one more thing. I just don't know why we can't all work together here. We're doing a good thing, Jeff, Gary,
we could
for the
replace
people.
that legally, I would do it.
We can override the veto.
Aaron,
Let me
call
talk,
for the vote,
everybody.
Ms. Sandy.
On what we voting on?
On your motion to override the veto. Can y'all get it up on the screen?
Hey, before y'all do that vote, I want to tell the people, no matter which way you vote, I know it's hard for you to have to make that decision. You can't please everybody. I'm going to go on the record and giving Jeff the credit for trying to do that. And I want to tell Jeff that I will support anything that you put in your moratorium to help. I would also ask anybody else to support Jeff in that route. And I think Ms. Jones had the answer. We can get Jeff's moratorium adopted tonight without a public hearing by amending the veto.
Amend the veto.
Wait, I want to make sure.
If he says we can legally use this tonight, I'm good with it.
Can't
But
do
he
that.
said we
Okay,
can't.
okay.
You got one option. You either override the veto or you're done. That's it.
No, that is not what I said. I said, everybody agreed to override the veto and then turn around and amend it. What's the difference? I mean, we all have to trust each other. You can tweak it to whatever your liking is, however it's going to play out. But at least we'd have something on the books tonight. That's what I meant, override the veto.
Okay, I see what you're getting.
We know everything is
I know.
amendable.
But you can't do it tonight is what they
That one
say.
was just we
What's
can
the reason
override.
now?
I mean, we can amend the adopted ordinance.
We can't do it tonight. Can't do it tonight.
All right, Miss Sandy, you want to call for the vote this time?
But we can't,
Melissa, did you have some more?
that's it. I'm just trying to clarify.
Rod, you got some more? We good? We're gonna see just a second. Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Mr. Talbot?
We're voting on the override of a veto. This motion is made by Mr. Delat, seconded by Ms. Aaron Sandifer to override Leighton Ricks's veto.
Mr. Talbot?
Mr. Talbot. Okay, wait, they can't hear to call the vote. If you could hold on just for a second.
Okay. Mr. Talbot?
No.
Mr. McMorris? Mr. King? Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
No.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
No.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes. Mr. Briney, let's keep it, so that motion did not pass, correct? All right, so we'll pick up Mr. Ard's motion to ordinance for the next,
Randy.
Huh? I'm sorry.
we'll pick up Mr. Ard's moratorium at the next council meeting. Item A4.
We're gonna take a break.
Oh,
No, let's get the addendum over with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we vote on yours yet, Jeff?
yeah.
Oh, we did? I don't remember voting.
Yeah, we introduced it, yes.
Yeah, we introduced it.
You need a restroom break? Okay. All right, let's try to keep it down. Item A4, adopt a resolution granting 2 waivers for section 125-37 requiring section 125-126 wetland regulations prohibited permit use for Malcolm, Ray, and Holly Forbes located off BB Lane in District 8. This is in Mr. Delat's district.
Seth Mosby, 16709, Amy Lane from Settlement. I'm the surveyor. This is 2 families that want to give land to their children. They want to share the servitude and the cost of building the road. That's why we have it here on one map, doing it at one time, because they want to share everything. We need a waiver for the 40-foot servitude, because they have sheds by the property line. They can't do 60 feet, and they asked for a waiver on the wetlands letter, because we just don't feel like they need to do wetlands for family land.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. There's going to be 2 motions. The first motion is I'd like to make a motion that we grant a waiver of the 60-foot and allow a 40-foot servitude.
You want to combine the second one with it?
combine.
You can? Okay, the second waiver is going to be for wetland determination. This is 1 lot over 4, so that's 5 lots there.
Motion by Mr. Delat, seconded by
I'll second it.
Mr. Gary Talbert. Comment by who? Mr. Girlinghouse.
So, you're going to make the servitude the actual, because my only question would be, if there's going to be subdivision in the future, then does it become a road? Does it ever fall on parish maintenance? Will you not be able to?
Okay. It's going to fall in line, the 40-foot servitude, with the new law that we just passed, I think, a month ago or a week ago, that hadn't got put in place yet. But the 40-foot servitude is a private servitude. It's not for a road parish. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes, it's private. No, it's not long enough.
And Tracy,
It's not over 1,000.
for them to subdivide in the future on that servitude would need another waiver. So ultimately, it's got to come back to this council again if they want to do anything in the future.
Okay. Correct.
Am I right, Seth?
Yes, they'd have to come back to ever do anything else.
Okay.
What about the wetlands?
Yes, I made a motion. Yeah.
Did it get a second?
Yeah, motion by Mr. Delat, second by Mr. Talbert. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
And go ahead and. Did you, any opposed? Nope. All right, motion carries. All right, let's go to item 14, a public hearing and adoption of LP Ordinance 2328, amendments to Section 130 and Section 130-19 and Section 131-21, regulation of telecommunication towers. This, you want to just read by title?
This is LP Ordinance 23-28, an ordinance to amend Chapter 130 Telecommunications by amending Section 130-11C, Section 130-119, and Section 130-121, regulation of telecommunications towers to include commercial developments in the setback requirements and provisions for waivers from adjacent property owners, and adding Section 130-11J for the provision of single use monopoles of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish.
All right, I think we've already had the introduction, so this is a public hearing and a motion for adoption. Is there anyone here to speak for or against the communication tower ordinance? None being, is there a motion to?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, seconded by Mr. Ard.
Just say there's no one to talk, so.
Oh, is there anyone, no one being here to speak for or against? Close the public hearing. Motion by Mr. Talbot, seconded by Mr. Ard.
Oh, wait. There is a problem with this ordinance. We talked about it. Shane, we were gonna fix this. On 21C, we were gonna say that the waiver didn't have to, wait a second, filed at the clerk of court's office.
Yeah, I know, and I was gonna go by and talk to Sam and them about that, and we didn't, so that's a totally different group of wording that affects a different type tower.
I know, but no, this tower, this is still, 21 still in there. 21, so 1J was the monopole setback,
Right.
and the deal for the other thing. 21 is the one that talked about the if waivers are given that they need to be thing, and we were going to strike that. So that's on a different thing. But can I offer an amendment that at 21, if waivers are given to the adjacent property, that thing doesn't have to be filed? That's the part.
I second it.
And then we need to read it. Then we need to approve it as amended.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
We got to amend it first.
Right, we got to amend it first, then we can approve it as amended.
So that's first vote.
All right, let's see. A motion to,
You
okay,
gotta add it in here.
okay. It's going to be a motion to,
What are you taking out?
We're taking out on section 130-121, where it starts and says if waivers are given,
Yeah.
all the way down to the end where it says final plat for approval. So we're striking that part out.
Okay.
Okay with that, Shane?
We had talked about it being a problem in ordinance, we just never got it addressed.
We're gonna just introduce that at a later date and put that back in there, and make sure our wording's all good. I wanted to run it by Sam, they got some questions
We
about
can
it.
amend it tonight.
We're going to amend this tonight, then we'll bring it back in when it's corrected.
Right.
so what do we need, a motion to adopt as amended?
Right, I'm going to make a motion to adopt as amended.
22 dash.
No, I'm going to make a motion to amend first, John,
All right,
and Randy's going to second it.
got it?
You think?
No, Jeff Ard actually seconded that.
Okay, whatever.
Discuss.
That's good, leave it like it is.
Yep.
Okay.
No, we're just waiting on the
This is
computers
the voting on the amendment. So Gary made the motion.
to
Who
amend.
seconded it?
Jeff Ard.
Jeff. But this is voting on the amendment.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? None being that, motion,
Okay,
I
now
believe, carried, yes.
I want to make a motion to accept as amended.
Yep, it's the same.
Motion by Gary Talbot to accept as amended, seconded by Scooter King. Brian, it's what you get to miss by not qualifying, buddy.
Okay.
All right, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
That motion carries, so that item is adopted. Item 15, public hearing and adoption of LP Ordinance 2329, amending zoning section 1750, amends to change of development in the district map. Mr. Girlinghouse, Part D.
This is just an amendment, 50, basically. If there is a zoning change, then it goes straight to planning instead of us. I don't know if you guys want to move forward on this, or I'm okay with it.
Mr. Girlinghouse, I think it's good legislation. Did you have something to say? Let's read by title.
Yeah, go ahead.
LP Ordinance 23-29, an ordinance to amend Chapter 117 zoning, Section 117-50, amendments or changes to the development regulations or district map by deleting Part D in and for the parish of Livingston.
If you'll make the motion, I'll second it. I'll second it.
Open to public hearings. Anyone here to speak for or against this, what this does? Oh, come on up, Mr. Glasscock.
My question, what does this do?
All right, well, do you want to tell him or shall I?
It makes it where y'all can't give waivers anymore, right?
No. What this does is when we brought zoning into the parish,
Right.
we knew there was going to be a lot of areas that need to be rezoned real quick. So what we done, we passed in the ordinance, we allowed us to change zoning by resolution. Well, after speaking to Mr. Irving and Mr. Villavasso, the state law says you cannot change zoning by resolution. It must be done by ordinance, which gives the people in the audience and the residents to have a voice. And we were just trying to help everybody by speeding it up. We cannot do that legally. We've got to do it the correct way. If you want to change your zoning, it has to go to planning, has to be advertised the correct way. That's
So you
what-
can't give a waiver anymore?
Well, we wasn't giving waivers. We were just changing.
Resolution.
We couldn't do a resolution.
Y'all were doing something for the past 10
That's
years
right.
I've been coming up here.
That we're just getting rid of that section that was illegal, is what we're doing. Clearing up
So y'all
that.
been doing it illegal for 10
We've been adopting.
But y'all are
Yes.
sure y'all zoning is legal?
No, it's not.
No.
Thank you.
That's the reason why I
Yeah.
asked if it's.
So it's all thrown out right now. I can go turn in my plat maps Monday and push my stuff through because the zoning is illegal.
Now, I'm not telling you that either.
It's either legal or illegal.
Okay, so as the council has agreed on a lawsuit that was filed, we settled and District 5 map has been rescinded. There are 3 maps that are still good unless somebody files a lawsuit against them, and then probably they'll get rescinded also. But right now, there are 3 legal maps within the parish.
And they are good.
As of now.
They are good as of right now.
But they are illegal.
Based on the judge's ruling, they can all be challenged. Based on how the judge ruled on my district, that we all went through the exact same process, and they can all be rescinded. All it takes is a challenge.
Does that answer your question? So we have a motion by Mr. Tracy. Is any more discussion on this item? Close the public hearing. Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse. Is there a second?
I second it.
Who was it? Gary? All right. Call for the vote.
Call for it.
Call for it.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris? Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yeah.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes. All right. That motion carries. We're going to all trickle out to the restroom here, I think, in a minute. Item 16, adopt a resolution to ratify the road name Honey Lane located off Church of God Road, Springfield, in Mr. Delat's district.
I'd like to make a motion that we ratify Hunter Lane is to be included in the 911 system.
Motion by Mr. Delat, seconded by Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 Tap her yes for me, if you see it.
We'll abstain, her.
Or, I'm sorry,
We'll
tap
abstain
you
it.
abstain,
We'll
huh?
abstain.
Okay.
We abstain it for
We can do it. Oh, Randy.
Abstain.
I'll just
We
abstain.
got it.
Okay.
We got it. Randy.
Oh, shoot.
Randy, you got to vote. Did you vote?
I do.
All right, that motion passed by majority. All right. Item 17, rezone reclassifications request.
Before you read them, I want to discuss this.
Okay, you want probably all 3 of those.
Because of the rezoning classifications and what we just passed.
Want to send these to planning?
I think that these should be sent to planning, and we need to start doing this
I
and
agree.
clean it up the right way.
Any rezoning needs to go to
It
planning. and
needs to
follow
go
the
to
laws.
planning, we need to do it the right way.
We gotta do it for hit next.
Oh, it's laid out. It's a 30-day notification. Bill
Vasso's made it real clear.
there's a notification, a 30-day process. Look, planning is not prepared for it, but we can't continue to do it the wrong way.
I agree with that.
So we got to struggle through the right way, and I feel sorry for these 3 individuals that are here that have to deal with this, but that's just, I don't know another way to do it.
All right. Item 18, adopt authorized waiver of a section requirements for minor subdivision to allow addition of the lots on the servitude located off of Red Oak
Okay, that's me, yes.
Road.
That's me.
Mr. Delat.
Yeah.
Shane Lambert.
Currently, they have 7 lots. They want to add 1 more. All lots are 1 acre and above. I'd like to ask a waiver for the last lot.
All right, there's a motion by Mr. Delat, second by Mr. Girlinghouse. Any discussion? None being, let's call for the vote.
Thank you.
Please.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris is absent. Mr. King? Mr. Mack?
Yeah.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer's absent. Mr. Delat?
I got it.
All right, motion carries.
Girlinghouse and Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Okay, so Randy, I have a question. We've done it. 17C and 18 were the same map. Did we need to change the zoning before we could do that other section or not? Is that?
Come up, Billy. Come up, Billy.
I mean, we've already approved the thing, but they might have to. They still gonna have to get the zoning fixed. So.
Be two separate issues.
Oh, okay. So
one issue is the zoning because it's agricultural, and a lady's trying to give an acre to her son, so it has to be rezoned to R1 or whatever allows for an acre. So that's one issue, is the zoning to get that size lot. The second issue is the number of lots on a servitude.
So we granted the waiver, but she can't give him the lot till the zoning's corrected.
That's correct. But this does has to be done, so we'll just have to wait 30.
Okay. Oh, I just was checking. I just noticed on the map that they were the same number. I wanted to make sure I was understanding what we were doing. Thank you.
All right, item 19, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of R2 zoning classification, permitted uses to place a mobile home on 3 lots, address in Lee Drive, Walker. This is in Mr. Girlinghouse's district.
All right, so, I personally don't think a waiver. This property is already subdivided, and they're like 0.48 acres, things like, sorry. And each lot is like a little less than an acre. They're zoned R2. Now, he wants to put a trailer on those 3 lots, which has already been subdivided. In the R2 classification, it says,
Put a trailer.
well, it doesn't say you can, but it doesn't say you can't. It says single-family dwelling.
Oh, well then.
Well, to me, it's a trailer's a single-family dwelling, so it doesn't say you can't. It doesn't say you can't, but it doesn't say you can. Which is a bit of ridiculousness.
Well, so
I mean, I get it, Dee Dee. I understand. I know, and
Yeah.
Guys.
I think that's part of the stuff that.
It is.
Bill Vasu was talking about,
It
that
is.
we have got conflicts in our zoning. And so basically, as my understanding and what I've heard in some of the phone conversations, is that probably 75% of our maps are good. A lot of the wording is good, but we have some conflicts that have to be resolved. And single-family dwelling is one of the conflicts that needs to be redefined, or we need to define a mobile home or something so that in this particular issue, in this issue, we do need a waiver because of the way single-family residence is defined in that particular section. But we're going to get that corrected.
So R1 and R1.5 specifies mobile homes, but in R2 it doesn't. So it says single-family dwelling, but it does not stipulate mobile homes. So that's where y'all have to figure out what direction you want to go.
Mobile home is a single dwelling.
Go ahead, Mr. Talbot. I mean, Mr. Delat.
Lord have mercy. Randy, that is rough right there, buddy.
I think that it's probably time sensitive to move the trailer in, and all we have to do is pass a resolution authorizing it. We don't have to change the zoning.
Or
grant the waiver. That's just a waiver. Yeah, it's just a waiver.
So a motion to adopt a resolution to adopt a waiver, authorize a waiver, Mr. Girlinghouse.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Talbot. Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Carrie.
Item 20, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of agriculture, residential, commercial, industrial for the purpose of lot size that will allow creation of tract. This is in Mr. Ard's district, to be donated to Sibley Cemetery.
Yep, I mean, as we all know, we have a lot of Sibleys in Livingston Parish, and we're running out of room. So I absolutely will grant this waiver.
Motion by Mr. Ard to grant the waiver.
I said second first.
Second by Mr. Shane. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, now we go to the second page, the second half of the meeting.
Oh, really?
What's that?
Jeff can do them all at once.
Yeah, next one is adopt a resolution to add roads for consideration. We could do all 3 of these, all 4 or 5 of these at the same time, adopted as kits as
So all
listed.
of these were sent to me by JT, Mayor of Livingston, asked us to put them on there, so I'll make a motion to accept all of them.
Can I add Nan Wesley to that list?
All right, y'all need them to spell it for you, you got it.
Nan, N-A-N, Wesley, W-E-S-L-E-Y.
Motion by Mr. Ard, second by
Me.
Mr.
Randy.
Delat. All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Oh, well,
He had the button to speak.
Well, it's okay.
All right.
I'm just gonna take a jab at people, because I don't need no roads in District 3, they're all done.
Item 22, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of section 125-37.
Some of them need to vote. Shane.
Shane, I'm glad you took us to slack.
Requirements for minor subdivision. This is for the number of lots on a servitude in Lane for Russell and Heidi Williams in District 8, Mr. Delat.
What is it?
Item 22.
I thought it's the one I just did.
You got a lot of that.
Okay, this is make a motion to grant a waiver. Currently it is 7, they want to add one more. All the lots is over an acre, and the last lot is next to the swamp and can never be extended.
Motion by Mr. Delat, second by Mr. King. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right, and I believe that motion will carry. Any opposed?
I'm good.
Motion must carry. Item 23, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver for Section 125 submittals to servitude 1 acre into 2 acre, 2 half-acre tracts in a named subdivision, Hickory Street, Holden, Louisiana. Mr. Mack.
Yeah, so I took a look at this. I'd like to make a motion that we grant the waiver, that we allow them to subdivide this property as written.
Hey, can we combine it, just add the trailer?
Yeah, that'd be great, too.
Just, huh?
We don't need the second one. It's already on the list.
Okay, so if we just do the first one, he doesn't need the second one? I'll second. Oh, never mind, you got a second.
Motion by Mr. Mack, second by Mr. King. All in favor say yes.
Aye, yes,
And that's 23A, correct?
yes.
And we're pulling, and B's already done. Item 24, adopt a resolution to authorize waiver of Section 125 requirements for minor subdivision for signage located on the east side of Louisiana Highway 447. This is in Mr. McMorris's district.
Mr. McMorris handed this off to me, and it is currently leased. It's business property, and they are subdividing it for future use. So it's just required. They're just asking it a waiver on the sign, and so I'm handling it for them.
All right. Is there a motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. King? Any discussion on this? None being, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
That motion carried. Adopt a resolution authorizing waiver of Section 125, prohibition and restriction of use to place a mobile home in a named subdivision, May Road Acres, Spillman Lane. This is in Mr. McMorris's. Did he mention that one to you?
Yeah, so they've already got them. He just wants to allow it. I don't think it's been part, I don't think it's built.
Not on the list
It's not on the list, but there are mobile homes in there already, so we'd like to
Motion by
let
Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Mack. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
And that motion carries.
That ain't on the list.
Item 26, adopt a resolution to grant a 6-month extension of the final site plan for Seven Oaks Mobile Home Park located at 28760 Jubin Road. This is in Mr. Girlinghouse's district.
And Seven Oaks has been there for a while, Mr.
Come on up, Mr.
You want to speak, you can. I was going to handle it for you.
My name is Gerald Burns, and I reside at 28630 Jubin Road. This is not adding mobile home lots, okay? All this is a little private building that my tenants have asked for a washateria and a little gathering room to have birthday parties. It's not a public building. It's strictly private. And I've worked so hard on it, I've spent over about $6,000 getting fees and drawings, and I'm right there. I got to get the state fire marshal approval, and they rejected me. They don't tell me why. They don't answer phone calls. They don't return phone calls. They don't return emails. So I gotta resubmit. I done everything but that. Then I bring all my documents over to Miss Dee Dee's and do the permits, and that's all this is about.
I second it.
Motion by Mr. Dean, I believe, second by Mr.
Mac.
Shane Mack. I'm sorry, Tracy.
No, it's fine.
It's okay. All right. It don't matter. Whoever you got. Motion by Tracy Gronghouse, second by Mr. Mack.
You got it, Tracy's got it.
All in favor say yes?
Yes.
All right. Adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of section 125 requirements for minor subdivision for the signage requirement to allow the division and donation of family property for subdivision tracts B and 4. This is located off of Hodges Road. Lori McKnight, Brittany Gill, Wilson, and Lewis Stephanie. This is in, I think, Mr. Mack's district.
Yeah, appreciate it. Stephanie Bertone, by the way, she was a NORD. I just want to let everybody know this is all family property. This is on Hodges Road. Yeah, Scooter knows these people too. This is all family, and they're just trying to subdivide family property, so they want a waiver for the sign. It's about a $500 sign.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr.
Motion,
Mack, seconded by Mr.
Second.
King. Oh,
No, that's good.
that's good.
Yeah.
Any discussion on this? All in favor say yes?
Yes.
All right, that motion does carry. Board, it's Library Board appointment, Mr. McMorris. I know he's not here tonight.
He gave me the name. I got the lucky winner.
Does he want to do it? Does he want us to
No,
do
he
it?
wanted me to do it because the person's here and it's been put off because of, waiting for it to happen.
Act like you're him and make the motion then.
So, Mr. McMorris would like, he received resumes, letters of recommendation, he did his evaluation, and Mr. McMorris would like to nominate Abby Crosby
I'll second it.
as his representative to Livingston Parish.
We got a motion by Mr. Talbert, seconded by Mr. Delat. Any discussion?
I got discussion.
Pardon?
I got discussion.
Mr. Mack.
I just want to say that all the candidates, I talked to Gerald about it, they were all fabulous candidates. It was a tough decision. I want to also say that, we changed that state law to allow each councilman have a specific board member. Okay? So I'm supporting Gerald in his decision to appoint who he has selected.
I agree 100%.
Have a motion by Mr. Talbert, seconded by Mr. Delat. And all in favor say yes?
Yes.
All right. And I believe that motion passed unanimous.
Look, Miss Crosby's all dressed up with her big earrings, so do you want to come speak?
Thank you, Mr. Talbert. I'm very honored to be nominated and to be selected. This is something that I take very seriously, and I will do a phenomenal job, and I will be transparent with my council members and be accountable with taxpayers' money, follow all rules and regulations and laws. And let's just let this run good, and I'm very happy, and I want to thank my councilman, Gerald McMorris. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you, Abby.
Mr. Tracy Burlinghouse, did you have one?
I did.
You want to do it?
Mr. Stephen Bernard.
Make a motion.
Make a motion
I'll second it.
Steve Bernard.
Steve Bernard.
You don't
When
know
you
him.
come around, shout, Steve Bernard, we need you.
All right, motion by Mr. Girlinghouse to appoint Mr. Steve Bernard, second by Mr. Randy Delat. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? None being. You want to give a speech, Mr. Steve? Or not really?
You ain't got time for that, I got to work on my computer.
Let's see, what can I say? Love the library. I've always used it. I have a book on hold right now I need to pick up. So when I heard that they had a library board, I'm on several other boards. This is the one I really wanted because I really love the library. So I hope to do a good job, and Christian, family man. Our kids go to school here, so
Sure.
I want to make sure everything's good.
Thank you, Steve. You're the best.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How many birthdays, anniversaries do you send out every day?
Every day?
A day. How about a year? I mean, just
Well, I do. It depends. Some of them I got like 5 in a day.
5 a day?
Maybe, but it's average about 1 or 2
Every day.
every day.
because I think he sends out, every day, somebody gets a happy
If I know
birthday.
your birthday, you're gonna get a text.
Okay, yeah.
A year from now. Well, yeah.
4:30.
That's when he's up.
I do get up early. So.
Yeah, well, Steve is, he's salt of the earth. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
All right. And, thank you so much. Item 28, Personnel Board, Mr. Jeff Hall.
I think I'm actually have 911 board,
Yes, that should be.
so Personnel Board.
Yeah, that makes better, that makes more sense.
That makes a
Okay.
lot more
That
sense.
makes a lot more sense.
Your Personnel Board.
Okay, you're not, but which
But I'll
one?
make the motion for you. Carrie Carlin?
Hit next.
Okay, well, yeah, but I mean, there's a,
Hold on,
is it supposed to be a
Is the term
911 or is it
expired?
supposed to be personnel?
Well,
hold on. They're voted on the wrong thing, let me see.
I think those names
you
got
just swap me in your name.
Yeah, I can only put your name.
Yeah. You should be doing the Personnel Board, I'm doing 911.
Hold on. There should have been nine.
'Cause it's your
No, I'm
appoint-
doing the 911
We're
board.
both doing 911, but the Personnel is just you.
Well, which appointment was due? I've got a couple people on
Carrie
there.
Carlin.
It's in your packet.
Carrie Carlin.
I saw his name and I didn't look. Well, that's fine.
We'll pull it up. We got it.
Yeah, let's defer that one. I hadn't talked to him, so that'll give me a chance to reach out to him.
Yes, Carrie. All right, you're pulling it?
I don't think we're gonna be using it anytime soon,
Yeah.
so.
28C, Livingston Parish Communication District, 911.
It's both of y'all.
All right.
Do you have one for the 911 too?
Yes.
Because it's not on the agenda here.
Yes.
Well, just didn't put my name beside
Okay, go-
yours, but it is on the page.
Okay,
And
go
mine's Joey Sibley, so I want to reappoint him.
I second it.
Want to reappoint yours?
Yes, I'd like to reappoint, let's do them both at the same time. Is that okay? I'd like to reappoint Fred Banks
Motion?
for the motion by Mr. Ard, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Delat. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries, I will believe. Discussion, introduction of ordinance, lot width modifications to chapter 125 Shane Mack. Is this something that's coming up in the ordinance committee, Shane, or is this? Or do
This
you
is
wanna-
actually going to be an hour-and-a-half conversation tonight. No, just joking. Okay, so, y'all, we need to have an ordinance committee meeting next week. We can have it Tuesday night or Thursday night, which you prefer?
Tuesday.
Tuesday? Tuesday night
Oh,
at
just announcing the,
5:30.
Wait. Next Tuesday night is,
What?
That's Landry, ain't it?
no, Landry's Monday night, and Tuesday night's the PEC.
Tuesday?
I thought Monday night's the
Monday
PEC,
night's
too.
pick.
Yeah, Monday's the PEC.
Okay, so the PEC and Landry are the same deal. Okay, yeah, Tuesday night's good.
You good?
I was confused.
right, so
I was
that's-
well reversed in my calendar.
Ordinance committee meeting Tuesday night. Two things I want to put on there, but I mean, I want to welcome everybody else's. Maybe we even put your stuff above mine. One is I want to discuss lot widths in Livingston Parish. I had a couple of Livingston Parish leaders from that North Walker area approach me and want to talk about lot width on subdivisions in Livingston Parish, the requirements, the minimum width of a lot in Livingston Parish. Just discuss possible introduction there. And then the second thing is carbon sequestration ordinance. We're going to put that on the agenda, and we're going to discuss that Tuesday night. So, anybody
What time
want
they
to
ask?
come? 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
And look, Shane, we need to look at amending, go ahead and we can talk about the ordinance committee, the amendments to the moratorium.
Yeah,
Don't you think,
definitely.
Jeff, we need to work
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, we're
We
gonna-
need to work on that in committee. and
Put that on there too.
That ought to be, I hate to try to, but we ought to see if we can bump that to the first item. We
Yep,
need
that
to
sounds
be
good.
sure and get that hammered out.
Yep, I'm with you.
All right, item 20, I'm going back to 29.
all right.
It's about the ordinance committee. Shane,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna bring you the ordinance, the dirt fill and fill mitigation ordinance, that gravity one. And I want y'all to look at it and see if it's something we think we can do to help protect the people that are already here.
Sounds
Because
good.
that's something we're gonna have to do.
Sounds good.
It isn't something you gotta do right then, but if we don't get started, how we gonna get it done?
Sounds good.
All right, let's go back to item 29, Southwest Water Company report. He was here last,
Okay, is there anybody here from Southwest Water? No one from Southwest Water?
I wouldn't have come.
Okay, so We have people all the time talking.
Is there anyone here from that Southwest Water Company? Is there anyone here from that wants to speak about the French Settlement Water?
I got a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That poor guy walked into it. Yeah.
come on up to, give us your name and phone number, please. I mean, name and address.
Michael LeBon, so I have the Plaza 22 shopping center out by the diversion canal, 187-800 Highway 22. Rudy with me here is one of our most important tenants, and Randy did a phenomenal job last meeting. I couldn't be here. I watched the video, and Jill did also. But I just want people to understand that we have 8 businesses there who have terrible water quality, low pressure days that they can't operate. We've had, just since we've opened the new restaurant in February, we probably had 4 days with no water whatsoever. It happens at nighttime. You call their emergency number, they don't even show up.
Oh, we heard it all.
They don't call you back. They don't show up. It's just, yeah, it's completely, and again, I'm reiterating a lot of stuff that Randy got on him about before, but the thing that, this is the only point I want to make, the thing that scares me the most is I talked to Melissa Rich, the CEO, and she was kind of being helpful in the beginning, and I don't think she'll return my phone calls or emails anymore, but the crazy, scary thing is that she told me that the system is antiquated and it's not designed to handle the development that we have now. And there's more building going on in the area with more development. So if she can't handle what we have now, and she has no idea how she's going to fix what she has now to handle the current situation, it's just, again, it's scary, and I don't know what to do or where to go. And I've tried to talk to the Public Service Commission about tying into diversion water. I've talked to those guys. They're okay with it, but I've got to spend a shit ton of money and get a lot of, excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's okay, he said worse.
So I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. And we've got operating businesses that have to close on their busiest nights because they don't have enough water pressure to operate. And it's just, something's got to happen quickly.
Guys, stay here for a second. Mr. Moody wrote us a letter this week. Do you have it with you?
I believe I do. Want me to read the letter? You got
Yes.
a hard copy of it?
Mr. Moody's our legal advisor, and he wants to see.
So the power to regulate the services goes to the state. However, I believe you guys have the ability to inspect and enforce those regulations.
There's state law on that, okay?
There is.
So Mr. Moody was supposed to tell us if that's got to be done by the state or done on a parish level.
Yeah, so the power to regulate is on the state level. It's LDH, State Office of Environmental Quality, that's the permitting. However, the ordinance, creates a special parish department to inspect and enforce the ordinance. I'm not sure you have the funds to do that. Most parishes let the state inspect and regulate these private utilities. Your current ordinances regarding utilities do not regulate private water utility companies. I think you can ask the state departments to investigate the complaints and to conduct inspections and testing of the water company.
We done that, and they gave me back a scorecard of an A and a B, and I can't see the water being any worse. I've got in my hand 4 bills where people have been charged as high as $500 for
water?
For water for 33.5 gallons.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I got it underlined and I got it right here. And she cannot get them to respond.
Brad.
And she cannot get them to respond. So
Brad, do we all do so back in the day, and I don't know, back before cable was deregulated, parishes issued franchises. You know what I'm talking about? And we have allowed people to go, like Walker Gas is servicing Watson, and nobody services Watson but Walker Gas, and the city of Denham now has sewer outside the city because the parish told them they could go down some road. So does this water company operate because we allowed them to operate in a particular area, or did they just move into an area and start operating? And were they granted permission by the police jury back in the day? How does that work?
I think the state controls who gets to operate. The state issues the permit for them to operate.
No, I'm not, but who gave them the territory to go down the road and put the water line?
I believe it's the Public Service Commission. I mean, they're a private company, so you guys don't, I don't think there's anything in place to regulate.
So there's nothing, so there's no power that the parish has where we could revoke a franchise for a utility and give it to somebody else.
They purchased it. They purchased that company.
I mean, look, I'm not saying they didn't buy it. I'm just.
They got the right of ways and installed the pipeline and everything over 30 years, and this company went in and purchased it.
I mean,
I think we can communicate with the Public Service Commissioner and try to get some relief here. Maybe he can work with them.
I mean, the irony of the thing is that Ward 2 bought sections of the French Settlement Water Company, and I think those people are quite satisfied with their service. And this other section got sold to a private company, and the capital investment hadn't been made or has not been made timely enough. And so consequently, I'm just wondering, is there anything that, as a parish, I mean, can a parish file suit against a utility because they're not providing service to the constituents of that parish? I mean, ultimately,
It's worth looking into to see if we can maybe even
well, then I think
spread out another
this
parish
council
entity to intervene.
ought to pass a resolution and ask that our legal advisor analyze whether there's the ability for this parish on the behalf of the customers of Southwest Water. Is there something that we can do in an effort to force them or revoke their status as a water company within the state?
If they get a letter that from a governing authority with a lawsuit attached, I think it would help them move real quick to either tie into Ward 2, sell that thing to Ward 2, and get out, or get,
I mean, I'm just trying to say that,
or pay
look,
money to get out.
because ultimately, the gentleman came here 2 weeks ago and told us what the plan was. The problem is, it's been an issue ongoing of these residents for years, and so at some point in time, you just get fed up.
Sure.
And I mean, look, trust me, I've got some customers of mine the customers I have serviced in that area before, and I know that the hardships that they face. So I'm not sure it's not a situation that we need to look forward to, and try to help them try to resolve this
I like your idea
issue.
to pass that resolution.
Me too.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I second it.
Did y'all get it, or does he need to repeat it?
Thank you, Gary.
Can you repeat that, Mr. Talbot?
Just ask, as a parish council, pass a resolution asking the legal counsel, legal advisors to analyze what ability we have as a parish to file suit against the water company, Southwest Water, and help them resolve on behalf of the residents of the parish. We're not doing it as a council, we're doing it on behalf of the customers of Southwest Water to move them forward in solving the issues.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Mack. Is that right? All right. Any discussion? Oh, Ms. Crosby.
Yeah.
Did you have more to say, sir, or was that?
No, that's all. I mean,
Okay,
and look,
let's-
and I think that's phenomenal. But just them not being here tonight.
Good job.
That's been
Exactly.
their inaction the whole time. So,
Sure.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Crosby?
Imagine Randy with this.
Abby.
That's okay. That's okay.
I think it was like probably 10, 12 years ago, y'all or the previous council adopted an ordinance to make the French Settlement, when it was called French Settlement Water Company, over the area. I know that I have Coyell Water, but y'all voted for that to bring them in as the parish water for the water
Supplier,
system.
yeah.
Yes,
License
so
agreement.
that's what, so y'all do have the authority to control that.
Thank you, Ms. Abby. We got someone else to speak?
Just one other thing. This water right here, I'm the guy with the samples. This is across the street from the Marport School right there at the Dollar General store. That was taken today around 4 o'clock. A couple other things, the website for Louisiana, it has been taken off the site. We no longer have access to it and everything as far as, it says a error being found, 401. I tried pulling up some more information on that. The few things that's actually been done that I've noticed within the last 2 weeks is some generator stands and a security fence. Other than that, I've never seen nothing else with the filter system he was talking about with the green sand filters. And then also, which he's not here, but they state in their statement that August is the national, let me see that. Yeah, it's supposed to be the National Water Quality Month, so that must be why he's not showing up.
Thank you very much.
It looks like a spit bottle.
That's
what it looks like.
I don't think. Mark on there that he,
Monday, maybe to call and see if you can get a hold of anybody. Just see if they,
oh, you had something else to speak?
yes, yes. Okay.
Come on, give us your name.
Shoemaker, 27300 Red Oak Road. I was the one that brought up the issue with the water. I know last time we asked him for a report, and you said all you got was an A or B or whatever. But what about the reports that came in as far as like, you know, what they've done in the past? Because legally, they were supposed to send that to us by article, whatever it is. And so I'm just wondering if they did not do that, you know.
I haven't received the full report, no ma'am.
Okay, because, I mean, I think there might be a time limit that they have to come back with that.
It is, and that's what I was saying. That's what I was trying to get back. I know, I think it was Representative Buddy mentioned someone passed in the House a bill. No, it's Shea Snyder, Speaker. That's who it was. Passed it and gave them a time limit to do that. They in violation of state law. I just don't know how to make someone enforce that.
Okay.
But they are in violation of state law.
Well, look, I'd like to amend the thing to include asking Brad to look at that statute that the revised statute that Shea Snyder passed, and see if there's some, what agency. I mean, look, there are tons of laws that get passed and people don't know they're responsible for taking care of it. So let's see if we can find it and steer whatever responsible party in the right direction.
And can we request that to be back on the docket again next month?
Yeah, well, you asked about the agenda. Is that what you asked? I can't hear.
If we could just get it put back on the docket for
Yes,
next month,
yes, we
just so
will.
that we can get an update.
Yes, we will.
You know. For
Okay,
everyone.
let's don't do it at the next meeting. Let's do it the next month.
Thank you.
Okay? I mean, that'll give us time to gather more information.
Yeah. and-
So that would be
September's
the
meeting.
second meeting in September. Thank you. All right?
I can't.
Got that? Mr. Mack?
Yes, I'm good with that.
It looks like
I'm just going to
on
ask him to
31D
not
needs to
only
get
look at the possibility of filing a lawsuit, but to follow up on the
Still on something
the
else right now.
state statute, see if there's
still want
who
you
to
to
what
adjourn.
responsible party to
what?
I
contact.
didn't want you to adjourn.
Okay. So we had the motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Talbert. You got his motion with the amendment? The
She's doing it right now.
okay. And it was a second by Randy Delat. Let's all get that up. All in favor say yes?
Yes.
All right. Shane, you had something for ordinance committee, you set a public hearing?
Yeah, we voted to adopt this ordinance, but I think maybe we forgot to open the public hearing and have a public hearing. So I think what we need to do is set a public hearing for LP ordinance number 23-25 for August 24th, 2023 at 6. Might need
You want to call, read by title?
LP ordinance 23-25, an ordinance to amend chapter 125 subdivision regulations, article 3 minor subdivisions, section 125-37-4, amending the width required for servitudes upon the re-subdivision of property of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish. The public hearing will now be on August 24th at 6 p.m.
All right. So that's when the public hearing is going to be, and that will be this is the introduction.
Yes.
We just didn't open and close.
Okay.
All we gotta do is open it, see if anybody will say something.
Anyone to speak for or against?
Nope, when we have the public. hearing.
When you have, at the next meeting, okay. Is that all you wanted for that, Shane? Is district attorney report?
Other than the fact that tonight's been a blast. I wish he was still here, honestly. I just wanted to say about Mr. Gerald McMorris, that in public service jobs, I just feel like less and less people want to do them because of the pressure and the public scrutiny you're under. And Mr. McMorris, from day one, my experience with him is that he was passionate and he cared. And those are two qualities that you want in your public service members. And I really had a good time working with him. He's going to be missed.
Very good, Brad.
Second.
Does anyone
I
else?
make a motion to adjourn.
All-
Oh, yeah.
Motion by Mr. Delat to adjourn, second by Mr. King. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Hey,